What is going on, everybody? I hope you all had a splendid holiday season, Christmas, whatever you celebrate. I mean, it's not over. We still have New Year's, but whatever you celebrate, I hope you guys had an awesome holiday. And we're here for another chapter. So if you aren't aware, officially this chapter won't be out for 8 more days because there's like this weird situation at the end of the year every year where basically the magazine goes on break, but because of the holidays, they send the issue anyway early, and then we end up getting this weird situation where TCB drops like a whole week early. So if you didn't understand why that's happening, that's why. So please do not go spoil any of the official onlys because they won't read this for 8 more days. Appreciate you guys for being here, though. Seriously, thank you. Let's see, real quick. Quanidin, I saw you said 9 out of 10 chapter, easy, 19 months, almost 2 years, nice. If you said 9 out of 10, that means it must be a pretty good chapter, pretty good. The last one ended with Ragnir being alive, or does it have a zone fruit? Is it like how swords are alive? Whatever. Who knows what that is? Maybe we'll find out in this chapter. But I was expecting a good chapter, so 9 out of 10 sounds about right. So thank you very much, Quanidin. Crazy, it's almost been 2 years already. And then 25th Slayer with a 7-month member message. He said, "How's it going, Dak? Hope your Christmas went well." You too. Thank you very much for that. Christmas was solid. The Cavs did blow it against the Knicks, but we looked really good. So, I'll take it, given how the Cavs have looked with their injuries early in the season. So, and the rest of the basketball was really good. I think there was like one blowout, but for the most part, the basketball was good. I didn't really check out the football, to be honest with you. So I don't know. But overall, Christmas was solid. Oh yeah, 25th Slayer also with the $2. You're right. You said, "Where's the Laboon sound, man?" Iconic intro. You're right. I honestly have not really had the stream. Like I moved the stream deck over to do like a TCG opening stream or like a promotion thing. I don't know. I had to move it off the desk, and it's just been over in the corner this whole time, and I completely forgot to bring it back over here. So you're right. And you know what? Now that we're almost in the new year, it's almost time for some resolutions. I will bring the Laboon sound back and the stream deck in general, because I used to use it whenever I first got it, and then I kind of slowed down. So I will bring that back. Thank you for the reminder. I honestly totally forgot. By the way, major shout out to Gigi's Boxcar with the 5 gifted memberships. Gigi, I appreciate you. I hope you had a splendid Christmas. Also, everyone go check out Gigi's Boxcar over on Twitch as well. Thank you, Gigi. Seriously. Reese Lucas, member for 37 months, more than 3 years, brother. That is crazy. Thank you very much. And you said great chapter. I can't wait with the way that the last flash, or not maybe this is the end of the flashback, but the way the last chapter of the flashback ended, I mean, this one's got to be fire. That's like I came into this one knowing I didn't even need anyone to tell me that this one's going to be a good chapter, but you guys saying it gets me even more excited. I haven't been spoiled at all, so I have no idea what this entails. And then XL Bean Boy with the 5 gifted memberships. Sorry, I can hear. I heard my dog Ralph playing with this toy that my friend got him yesterday. He got him a Christmas present, gave him a toy. However, like Ralph really loves the toy, but he also loves like tearing it up, and he tries eating parts of it. So I'm trying to keep an eye on him. But thank you, Bean Boy, for the 5 gifted memberships. I appreciate you very much, brother. I hope you had a splendid Christmas, and hopefully I was gonna say an even better New Year, but like, I mean, that does have a good sentiment, but it's like, I also hope the Christmas was super amazing too. So either way, I hope you had some splendid holidays, brother. Mr. Bushido with the €10. And after these last 2 here, then I will actually get into the chapter. Just because I know, at least in my mind, the more super chats I answer, then people might join thinking I already read the chapter, and then I might get spoiled. Not that the super chats would, but somebody else might. So these last 2, and then we'll go ahead and get into it. Mr. Bushido with the €10. Dude, thank you so much. Seriously, I appreciate you and all your generosity in all the streams. Great chapter, 8 out of 10. Wrote this on the Discord kitchen. So I guess I don't want to read this because, and I know you're not trying to spoil me, Mr. Bushido, but whenever you start giving me theories about like Loki's devil fruit, that's telling me that it's not going to be revealed in the chapter, which is kind of an inherent spoiler in and of itself. You know what I'm saying? So I'll get back to this one at the end. Big Cheap, member for 27 months. Hell yeah, brother. Let's go. Yeah, Big Cheap. I hope you had a splendid Christmas as well. Thank you for showing up. I'm super excited for this one. Super duper excited. All right. John Stoops real quick. I know I said 2 more, but I was literally about to turn over and then I saw it. John Stoops, you said member for 20 months, which is crazy. Working unfortunately, but happy reading, Dak. John, thank you. That does suck that you're working. But hopefully you'll get a good chance to watch the VOD, and hopefully work isn't too stressful for you. In my mind, because it's the Christmas season, I was about to say like, oh, it sucks you're working over the holidays, but like it is December 27th now. We're back to the normal swing of things, at least for a few days until until New Year's, you know. But all right, let's go ahead and get into the actual chapter. Let's go ahead and read this thing, and then I will go back and read your theory, Mr. Bushido. All right, chapter 1170. The Shonen Jump cover is pretty cool. Not as cool as last week with the stained glass, but still cool. You know, we got Luffy in the front. As I always say, you know, you got to do the basic marketing. You got to put the goat on the cover. Rapo, I saw you just said that you're on the plane right now. That is great. Well, I will hurry up. Well, are you actually flying? Like, do you have Wi-Fi? Because like in my mind, I thought you meant like you're on the plane about to take off, and I was like, oh, I'll hurry up and read so you can hear the reaction before you lose connection. But maybe you have Wi-Fi. I don't know. So either way, let's go ahead and get into it. Contradictions is the title of this, which I like because we're nearing the end of the Loki flashback, which there probably are some contradictions in terms of the stories that everyone's telling each other. I would imagine is where this is going. Like, you know, like Loki isn't a bad guy, but we're figuring out how true that is now. You know what I mean? So there's some contradictions. Oh, Rapo, you said I'll soon miss all the reaction. You're going to take off. Got you. Well, I'll still hurry up, but hopefully that you have a safe and comfortable flight. That's the most important thing. Wait, cover request by 420 Ian. That's interesting. I was expecting a different kind of cover story if it's by if it's by 420 Ian, but Jinbei as a ticket clerk for an eel train serving bentos, and you also got all the Straw Hats as like kids, which actually is really fitting because Jinbei is like kind of like the dad of the crew. I feel like, right? Like he's like the old kind of wise member who he's still getting up to speed on all the antics of the crew and stuff. So I kind of like that. You know, like Oda drew the rest of the Straw Hats as kids here. I also see that it is an eel train. It reminded me of Laboon a little bit. I'm going to be honest with you, but it's an eel, so you know, I mean, still close enough. This guy's probably homeboys with Laboon, so I still like him. He also has a 10 on his forehead. Laboon has scars and a Straw Hat logo. They might be related. That's all I'm saying. But all right. Now we are into the real chapter here. The hammer's sneak attack. All right, so now we see Loki on the ground, and the hammer hit this pillar in the background. Bastard, who threw that hammer? Come on out. All right, so I think this is so. It's funny because I know we were all talking about how like the hammer's alive. I guess they're technically the first thought should be that someone threw it. That's like the normal person thought. But us, you know, One Piece readers, we know better. The theorists, you know, the theorists and all of us know that, you know, the weapons can be alive. So, let's see. There's got to be someone here. Whatever. I have to eat the devil fruit. Chitter, 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 squeak, squeak, crack, crack, crack. All right. And so now looks like the hammer is just... It's breaking through the floor. Oh, it's because it's heavy. Oh, whoa! You've got to be kidding me. There's no way it's that heavy. So I also am wondering if this ties into the idea that people have had about either like Usopp's future hammer or just in general. I don't know if people have really said about Ragnar specifically, but I know before Elbaf this was a thought that like the special hammer could change its weight, so that way if Usopp were to get it, it could be really light one moment and then be like a 5,000 ton hammer or whatever the next moment. So I'm curious if that's what's going on or if it is just eternally that heavy. The hell is going on? Is this decrepit old castle just falling apart? Your efforts are futile, Loki. Hold on one second. Hey, buddy. Sorry, he's trying to keep an eye on him for the toy. That's all. Your efforts are futile, Loki. Generations of rulers have watched over that devil fruit, yet for centuries it has gone uneaten, not by choice, but because no one could eat it. So before we continue, this sounds like the exact same thing they said about the Nika fruit. And maybe, you know, I'm not saying it is for sure the Nika fruit, but I know there's been a lot of theories on that, and I feel like there's got to be some Nika connection, even if it's not like the actual Nika fruit. And obviously, Luffy supposedly ate it, so there'd be some confusion there, which wasn't the chapter title called Misconception, so I don't know. Um, but but it sounds like the same thing they said about the Nika fruit, right? It's gone uneaten, but because no one could eat it because it like had a will of its own and it kept escaping, right? It feels like the same thing. Ragnir, wait, because no one could eat it, Ragnir simply hasn't deemed anyone worthy. So now it's funny because it says, because like, so Ragnir's protecting it, but if Ragnar has his own fruit, it's like this, it's like the same logic, kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of interesting. Um, but with my current strength, so so Ragnar's been protecting the fruit. And so now that, Loki has the fruit, supposedly, and has Ragnar, I think it's interesting because it's like, I think somebody brought this up last stream, but like, did Loki, did the fruit, did the hammer start following Loki because he ate the fruit? And it's like, now I got to protect the user of it. You know what I mean? Or probably maybe also, Loki just proved himself worthy or whatever, but that is interesting that those two are like so closely tied, right? But with my current strength, and then we see Shanks and Gabon come in. Did they just cut his leg off? I mean, he can regenerate, so it's not like a huge deal, but it looks like they cut his leg off. Reminds me of Little Orsh Jr. and Marineford. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's really a callback or not, but obviously, Ancient Giants. Those wounds are already causing him a lot of pain. His healing abilities are struggling to keep up. Okay, so that is because like we kind of saw that with Garling a little bit, I would say, during God Valley. And so it's interesting to think about it that way. Like, you just got to keep up the onslaught. Don't let up, and he'll eventually be driven into a corner. Folks like him are weak to Conqueror's hockey coding. All right, so obviously we learned a little bit about this before because Gabon said, like, be mindful of how you use Conquerors, or be careful, or whatever the translation was. And we've obviously seen, at least I would argue, at least in one case, where like Luffy fought Saturn, put holes in him, but then he just regenerated anyway, like right away. So I still think there's like an extra layer to this, but either way, or based off, the Gabon, or the, not Gabon, but the Garling thing, you might just have to use Conquerors over and over and over and over and over and over until they just, I don't know, they run out of regen, like, energy. Like, I don't know how that really works, if they can always regen eventually, right? But anyways, you dare oppose me? You bet. We can't let you run wild just because you've gone crazy. Also, major shout out to Knack Talk with the 10 gifted memberships. Seriously, thank you very much, Knack. Knack, I hope you and your family had an amazing Christmas, by the way. We haven't talked in a few weeks. I still haven't put that light up in the back, so I still need to talk to you about that. But thank you very much, Knack. I did see that. And I always like shouting out the member messages because, like I said, they don't stay in Streamlabs or whatever easily for me to find. So thank you very much, Knack. Appreciate you, brother. Seriously. Yeah, W's in the chat for Knack, for sure. 10 memberships. Appreciate you, man. We need at least 10 W's, at least. Let's see. Gabon-san, you're familiar with the weaknesses of the Knights of God? I can't remember how many times they tried to take you back. All right, so that's interesting. So they kept coming after the Roger Pirates. That red-haired boy, we know you have him. He looks just like our captain's son. Hand him over. Back then, I'd slice him up and we'd send him packing. Oh yeah, that Summers guy did mention something like that. So we know Summers routinely went after the Roger Pirates, which is cool because it adds just a little bit more to Gabon cutting Summers, like, I don't know, what was that, like 10, 15 chapters ago, in Elbaf. Actually, that was 20 chapters ago, 22, 21 chapters ago. Guys, that's more than 6 months of One Piece chapters. That's like not even real. But anyway, it does add a little bit to that because now we know they've had a bunch of fights, right? Those were the days. Frankly, it's surprising that a fighting force like that originates from the Holy Land. Most celestial dragons are useless. Those guys consider themselves divine, living sedentary lives and keeping well clear of our world. Meanwhile, my life's always giving me the chills. You can call that fate. Gaban-san, I want to save Harold, but you're the one who told me how hopeless it is once someone becomes a Knight of God. I'm afraid Loki's our best bet. So now their plan is to, and also you can see that Harold's still missing his leg. It hasn't regenerated yet. So this is interesting. So they want to save Harold without actually killing him. And the reason I think this is so interesting is, well, like for one thing, assuming he's actually dead, as they've said, then this isn't going to work. But more importantly, we're probably going to want to save a lot of the current giants who got Domi reversied, which is a little bit different than this, but it's similar mechanics. It's all Emu forcing people to do stuff. So I wonder if that's also going to become a plot point. Like, I want Dorian Brogy to, you know, like somebody's going to say, I want to save them. How do we do it? And then somebody's going to be like, maybe Loki will be like, we tried to do that with my dad, but failed. And so then they'll have to find some way. But I think that's an interesting little addition here. And I wonder, I mean, I feel like he probably is dead, but I really wonder, you know, if he really is. I mean, Oda's the fake out Death King, right? So don't make me repeat myself. Move it, Hammer. And also, real quick, you see how there's snow falling right where the hammer is? At least that's what it looks like. Is it just because... Well, no, because they're not in the realm of the dead, right? You see how there's snow just coming down from the ceiling where RAGNIR is? It's only where RAGNIR is. And, like, in my head, I was like, oh, maybe there's just a hole in the ceiling and that's it. But it doesn't snow in this realm, right? This is the realm of the sun. So it doesn't snow here. So now that's weird, right? Let's see. Move it, Hammer. So you're basically the National Treasure's guardian? How can you even move? What is going on? I am so over this. And then he breaks his hammer on RAGNIR. All right. My hammer. And now we see RAGNIR flying away. It's also like smoking on its way out. And it has a couple exclamation points. What, bro? What is this? Wait, it's this. Wait, whoa, wait, bro. What is this? Is this like a? It's like a squirrel. Is it supposed to be like a tanuki or something? What is this, bro? Wait, dude, wait. It's like a chipmunk. I'm sure I'm gonna find out what it is here in a second, or I imagine. But what the hell is this? And it's so so RAGNIR's got a little you know, bump on its head from hitting the other hammer. Bro, I love that it's a zone, by the way. You know, we were talking about that last week. You know, we talked about the ideas that it could be alive like a sword is alive, because they're just naturally alive for whatever reason, like if they're well made or whatever the situation is. I love that it's a zone, and I love that it's this squirrel, whatever this is. Huge fan. Huge fan for so many reasons. I don't even know what this thing is, but I am in love with it. Dude, it's this little... It's just a squirrel. But it also packs so much of a punch, right? Because, like, they said, like, nobody, like, RAGNIR didn't deem anyone worthy. And and the thing that is protecting the fruit is this thing? Bro. I'm such a huge fan. I don't even want to, like, I know there's a lot of cool stuff left. For me, this is already a 10. This is a 10 out of 10. The chapter could end here and I would be, you know, content. That I got to figure out what kind of squirrel this is. Be gone. How are we supposed to end this? Well, honestly, I've never fought one who has conquerors too. Okay, so that's some confirmation that the Gods Knights that kept going after them at least didn't have conquerors, Hockey. Okay, that's just interesting, I feel like. Like, you would imagine they would with the way they act and how strong they are and stuff, but maybe they also don't get pushed to the brink enough, and that's why they don't have conquerors. Like, their life isn't truly on the line. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Soldiers, stop Harold. We can't allow him to get his hands on that devil fruit. Now we see Harold just tearing through all the different guards. And now we see Loki's eating the fruit, so confirmed. Which like we did technically know this, but now we have like a full confirmation. So can we? I can't really see what the fruit looks like, but we see Ragnar letting Loki eat it. So Ragnar did deem Loki worthy from that hammer hit, I'm guessing. Bro, it's so small. Can I'm trying I don't know if I can tell what that is. I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell from here. Maybe if we zoom in, we might get a little more of some insight. I can't tell exactly what it is though, but either way, so Loki eats it, and then we see he's getting some claws and his hair is spiking, so we know it's a zone fruit for sure. And then we see the little squirrel is so happy. Ragnar, bro, Ragnar is one of my goats now for sure. Like I'm not gonna put him on the same tier as like Laboon or Gaimon's animals or any of those other goats or Shushu, but maybe Ragnar's definitely on my radar now. Biblo is also another goat from Elbaf, by the way. Um, and so, but also Loki turns into this giant thing. What is he? He's yelling roar. I'm just gonna keep reading. Did you eat it, Loki? There's also, by the way, this panel above that one where like Harold, like there's fire behind him and Harold's fighting all these guys. That is just such a badass panel. Like just the art of it. Did you eat it, Loki? Show me its legendary power. And now we see him we see him like slowly regenerating. Kind of reminded me of Garling a little bit. Now we see Harold just getting beat up, it looks like. And then down here we see probably Loki, but a silhouette of his power where he's grabbing Harold's head, which looks also badass. I'm just gonna keep reading. I have some ideas on what this could be and all that, but I don't know if it's gonna get mentioned here. I knew it, Loki. You have the blood of a conqueror flowing inside you. Hey, if you've come back to your senses, then it won't last. Don't drop your guard. Look around. I'm beyond redemption anyway. You were being controlled, weren't you? Not quite. It's more like that thing is influencing my thoughts. I started to consider myself a god. So there's definitely some NL connection there, I feel like, like I don't know what it is. Also, this was something else I was thinking about just yesterday. And I don't know if this is something that everybody else has been talking about and I just didn't really think about it too much, but NL ripping out his Birkin wings is definitely going to be a parallel to Harold ripping out his horns, and now that we're also seeing he started to consider himself a god, and I mean, even Loki said that he was a god at the very start of the arc and brings down lightning. There's just like a lot of NL stuff here, so I'm excited to see if or when he returns. But you have what it takes to lead Elbaf well. Try to get along more with your brother, though. You're the worst. You know that? Wait, who's is that Loki saying that back to him? Oh yeah, okay. Having your own son take your life? What kind of a father does that? One last thing. I almost forgot. I wanted to thank you about Ida. What are you... Burning down Alcohol Village didn't make her better, but I was touched by how much you loved her. And now we see the mark is like... Is it because his arm was hurt and now it's regenerating? Is that what's going on? Okay. And so now once the mark comes back... Oh, so wait, is the idea that Oda's telling us right now that like while the mark is destroyed, the influence kind of goes away, but then once the mark regenerates, like the arm regenerates, then Imu gets control back? Is that kind of what Oda's hinting at with this? Hurry, it's taking me over again. I'll never forgive you for making me do all the dirty work here. I love you too. Giant lightning strike, bro. That Wow. Wow. Man, I love, I don't know what the exact translation is, but I love the way it's translated here where it says I'll never forgive you for making me do all the dirty work here. It's just like, I don't know, for me I love that kind of send off because it's like almost like a joke a little bit, but all this other stuff talking about burning down alcohol village. Also, another thing I got to mention real quick is it's been snowing this entire time ever since Loki and Ragnar. Okay, so now we see well, it's snowing all over Elbaf, but that started after Loki and Ragnar started like having their little duel. I want to say I'm gonna go back and double check because Oda's done this so many times now, where whenever Loki gets really emotional, yep, look, go back down here. The first time we see any snow is right after Loki, like right before Loki hits Ragnar and wins him over, and then after that it's snowing everywhere. And again, Loki's controlling the weather. That's all I'm saying. All right, and so now giant lightning strike, awesome double page spread of Loki hitting Harold, and he's like disintegrating, dude. That is, you see the giant lightning bolt coming down too. I got so many Enel theories going through my head right now because I'm trying to do an Enel video. It's going to be one of my next few videos. Well, it's about Burka more so than Enel. It is about Enel, but it's more about the history of Burka. And I'm getting so many extra thoughts here for that video right now. But this is such a badass panel. The shading on it too. Man, that is and like the way the background's pretty empty. Like Oda, that's a 10 out of 10 panel, my guy. 10 out of 10. Loki, my dear son, the only thing that really matters is securing Elbaf's future. Chapter 1170 end. Only memories last. Phenomenal, phenomenal chapter. Um, I got so many thoughts. I got a lot of emotions too. I feel pretty emotional about this ending. Like I don't know, Harold. I think I'm gonna have to do a video on Harold's life at this point. That's the takeaway I'm getting is like, I know he's a controversial character, or just a lot of people think he's a bad guy, and there's definitely solid reasons to think that, but I don't know, man. This flashback, like, despite that, I just think Harold is such an interesting guy, and the way this ended, man, like I know it's so fitting too. I feel like that Loki did it as almost a sign of like, kind of like he's strong enough, like he won over Ragnar. He was able to beat, you know, Emu, Emu powered up Harold. I don't know. We're gonna have to come up with a name for Harold and Emu combo, like we did for Garcimu Saturn and Gunkmu. But whatever this, like this, I just feel like this situation was so well done from Oda. This entire thing. I really wonder now if we're going to be done with the flashback after this, if like we're literally just going to dump right back into the stuff going on right now in Elbaf with Emu and all the Gods Knights and all that, because like now we've completed what we started the flashback for, which is like, because like they didn't want to free Loki because they thought he killed Harold, which he did, but now we understand like, yeah, well, basically what happened to Harold is essentially what's happening now to people. It's not really the same, like, because Domi Reversi and this thing are different, um, but yeah, like I said, I got so many thoughts on this chapter. I'll tell you right now for a fact, because I've already got it planned. There will be a redacted discussion on this chapter in the flashback in general. I already recruited Sai for that, so and I'm really glad because we were debating doing it earlier this week, but I was like, well, this chapter might drop in a few days, and we might get the end of the flashback, so we might as well wait. And I'm kind of glad I did because now we got a lot to talk about. Wow. So we still don't know what Loki's fruit is, so which I'm glad about. and we don't really know what Ragnir is necessarily, right? I mean, we know he's a squirrel, but is he a special mythical squirrel? I would imagine he is. But then we also need to answer, like, why is he so strong? What is his connection with this fruit, right? Like, what is that story? Like I said, I'm not going to put him on the same tier as, Laboon or the other goat animals, but he's on a good trajectory. Ragnir for sure, for sure. Um, and so one other thought that I just wanted to mention about an L, which I don't know if this will make that much sense without the rest of the video that I've been planning. But this one thing that this made me think of, and it's actually like this was already going to be in the video, and now that this just happened, I'm like, I feel even more confident that this happened. But I feel like whenever Burka fell, Enel did this same thing to another emu controlled person. Like I think the leaders of Burka probably mirror Harold in that they started working with the world government and got controlled or whatever. And the fact that, I mean, not like Harold died to Ragnir, yes, but also to a giant lightning bolt, right? And I'm wondering if the reason Enel is the way he is because he grew up in a society that was led by a guy who did view himself as a god and all that kind of stuff, right? Like the fact that Harold is dying by lightning and the hammer is like in all the ways that Loki already parallels Enel. I feel like Enel did this same thing to somebody, and that's how Burka got destroyed or something like that. That's part of what the video is. I'm still kind of debating how wide that video is because man, I got so many Enel thoughts now for sure. But man, phenomenal chat. I just can't stop saying it. Like 10 out of 10 chapter. Like seriously, this was stuff like Ragnir really gets me. Like that. I don't know, man. It's a cute animal. It's just like the ancient weapons in a way, which maybe there is like a Uranus connection here potentially. But it's like the ancient weapons, at least what I'm hoping for them, because we were told that they were like, at least Pluton was an inanimate object. Obviously, I have the mole theory. Even like Poseidon at first, like did we all think it was going to be a living person controlling other living beings? Like, I think all of them are going to end up being like that, just like different weird living creatures essentially. And so having Ragnir be another one is fantastic. And I also mentioned this last week, but Ragnir having a zone fruit is absolutely perfect for this arc because Vegapunk is the guy who knows how to imbue zone fruits into weapons, but we did not learn how to do that. And obviously, we already left Egghead and everything, but Vegapunk's going to get cloned while here on Elbaf. We also know that he came to Elbaf and studied here before. I think he said that he sent one of his clones here, like with the same tech that they're recloning him with now or whatever. But basically, I wouldn't be surprised at this point if Vegapunk figured out how to imbue zones into objects because of Ragnir, or at least they told him like, yeah, Ragnir protects the fruit, and it's a hammer that has a squirrel mixed in with it. He's like, wait, what? And maybe that gave him the idea. But I just think it makes sense to rope that into Elbaf. Because also you think about Nash, right? The homie shield that Goldberg has. That's like another living weapon. I mean, it's a shield, so it's not a weapon, it's defense, but same idea, right? And so, but that's not a zone fruit. That's like a homie thing, but that's still like living weapons, right? Like I think we need to explore that a little bit. Even like when swords are alive, it's like, what's that about? Even Klabautermon, that's like ships are alive. Well, we're here with the Atom Tree, which the Sunny is made of. So we're gonna find out a lot of stuff about what life really is, I guess, in this arc, I think. But all right, let's go ahead and get into some super chats, guys. This was like I know I said it like 10 times, but phenomenal chapter. I am like so like motivated by this chapter, I guess is a way to put it. Like I have so many different thoughts to share, like either here or in a different video, or I want to ask people what they think about things. Like I'm sure there's going to be some super chats about it, but I really want to know what you guys think. Like Loki's fruit is now. Bushido, I'll read yours from the start of the stream. And then I'm also curious what exact kind of squirrel this is. Is there like some Norse lore on a really strong squirrel? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm unfamiliar with any of them. Or is he a chipmunk? Is he a squirrel? I don't know. The patterns on his tail make me think chipmunk, to be honest with you. And here in Ohio, we have chipmunks all over the place. At least we used to. I haven't seen them as often, to be honest with you, the last however many years. But growing up, I used to find chipmunks all the time in my yard. And that's what it reminds me of. But it's also probably just a squirrel. But yeah, let me know. Let me know. I'm going to go ahead and read the super chats now, though. Let's get into these. Let me drag it over here so I can see it easier. Let's see here. Okay, Mr. Bushido, we'll start with yours from the start of the stream. And I hope you thought I hope you know what I meant. I know you weren't trying to spoil me on it, but by you theorizing on the devil fruit, then I kind of inherently learned that, oh, we must not learn it in this chapter, and that in and of itself is a little bit of a spoiler. So I hope you know what I meant. I'm not upset or anything. I don't feel spoiled, but that's why I skipped it. Just want you to know. But I think Loki is going to be a rooster devil fruit. Rooster connects to the sun, waking sleeping children up. Norse myth killing demons, calling it now. I've seen you talk about this a lot in the Discord. I haven't been looking. Again, I know none of you guys are trying to spoil me, but whenever like something might get revealed in the next chapter, I try to avoid theories on it during the week. You know what I mean? Just in case somebody replies and is like, well, thanks to the spoilers, we know that's not true. Not that that happens a lot, but that's just why I avoid them. But anyway, I did see you talking about this a lot, so I'll check out the full gist of it. I guess I'll say, let me go back down and look at what we see here. I guess for me, I mean, it's not a lot to go off of, to be honest with you, at least in the sense of him being a rooster, but like I feel like the silhouette, I don't necessarily get like bird vibes, but I guess I don't really know, because he'd be in hybrid form, I guess. So that's why he would have arms and still be standing up, because it looks like it does look like he's if I had to give one idea, I think he's a quadrupedal animal. Quadrupedal is the right way to put it, right? Four-legged animal, because of the way he's looking at the bottom of this page right after he eats it. The squirrel says squeak, and then the way that he's running, it looks like he's a four-legged animal. You know what I'm saying? Like he almost looks like a, dare I say, almost like a pig or something, because he looks so low to the ground in comparison to how long the legs are, right? The legs look kind of short, so I don't really know what that is. Hopefully we're not seeing Topman V2, hopefully it's the opposite, but then like I said, for hybrid down there, like it's kind of hard to glean too much from that, because if he's in hybrid, it's like whatever, but this one looks like he's a four-legged creature. But I guess going back to the rooster idea, he could still be a two-legged creature, that, because like if this is a rooster, maybe just like one leg is back, one leg is forward, and he's not four-legged, it's just two, but he's still low to the ground like that. I don't know. And with the way Oda's silhouettes are, I'm not trying to read too much into the silhouette, if I'm being completely honest. Like, because like, even though this does make me think four-legged animal, this could just end up being a nothing burger. Like, look at Loki's original silhouette; it looks nothing like him. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to put too much stock into it. But I do think that'd be an interesting idea, like where it's unsuspecting, whatever it is. Because like who's really thinking of a rooster, right? I don't think anybody is. So I think that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Let's see. What's the next super chat here? I did Big Cheeps. I did John Stoops. Mr. Bushido again. Thank you very much, by the way. With the €2 super chat, kind of want the flashback to end, but I also don't. That's where I'm at. I'm like, we've been away from the Straw Hats for like, what, 19 chapters now, or 18. It started in 1152, but partway through, so it's like 18 and a half or 17 and a half, whatever it is. And that's like, at the rate Oda goes, he does about 3 a month. That's like 6 months away from the Straw Hats. Is that the longest we've ever been away from the Straw Hats? I mean, I don't know how long the Odin flashback was. It's got to be like near this length. But honestly, like, I do want to get back to the Straw Hats, because I mean, that'd be exciting. We have a lot going on in Elbaf, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who miss the Straw Hats. But if I'm being honest, I'm down to stay here in the flashback as long as Oda wants. If Oda wants to keep going, and show us Loki and Lola and Loki and Shanks and Loki kind of being a pirate for a while. Like we don't really know a whole lot about that. I think they just said he left, so I don't know if he was like a pirate in like a real sense or if he's like kind of like Kuma where he's just like sailing by himself, so like he is a pirate but not like traditionally, you know what I'm saying? So I'm curious just on all that other stuff, but at the same time this feels like a good point to dip back to the stuff going on. So I feel like it's probably over. Maybe save for like half a chapter of just like reaction stuff where like, you know, we see Loki trying to tell everyone what happened. They're like, "Wait, you killed Harold? We knew you were bad. You've been a curse since you were born." And maybe we'll get a little bit of that so we understand what he's gone through after this fact. But I feel like we're at a really good point to just dip back to the Straw Hats, honestly. Let's see. Good vibrations, my guy. Welcome, appreciate you sliding in. Remember for 37 months, man. It's crazy that we're past 3 years now. You just said you're, bro. I hope you had a great Christmas. I hope you had a great time reading this chapter, also, my friend. This was a fever dream, at least for me. I thought that this was so good. But thank you, brother. Thank you. Mr. Bushido with the €2. Eel looks like 10-tone hammer and Usopp looking at it. I didn't really think about it that way. I guess he kind of does. Like, it's kind of like the way that Oda just draws like shiny black objects, I guess. Like, because even Laboon, I believe, like he's colored like he's like blue in the anime, but I think he's just colored black officially. I think, or he used to be. I can't remember what that is, but either way, like this is just it's like kind of how he just draws shiny black objects. I feel like because like it's just like the shading style that he does. But it does remind me of the hammer. I know exactly what you mean. It does. Reminds me of Laboon. Reminds me of definitely some others. Like even maybe like Luffy with a Gear Third like elephant gun kind of thing. Not like exactly, but it's just shaded the same way. But yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know. I feel like this would be a good chapter to throw in some hammer foreshadowing in the color page, or it's not the color page, but the cover request, because obviously this chapter was all about hammers. So I think that would be a cool twist. I still think it's pretty funny that 420 Ian was the was the requester. I don't know. So that is hilarious. Knack Talk with the 10 Canadian dollars. Appreciate you very much, brother. You said Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. And you know what? And you can definitely get away with saying that because you gifted the 10 memberships as well. So you know what, Knack? I appreciate you. Thank you for all the support as usual. And like I said, I still need to get that light done. So I put away all the stuff because I was so tired of working on it, but it needs to get done. So I'm gonna call you soon. Mr. Bushido, I see you got 2 in a row here. So first off, for €5, I feel what Scopper says about Conqueror's Hockey adds fuel to the kid training arc in Conqueror's Hockey and Elbaf. I don't know, but I mean, kid maybe, but I think all of them, right? I think like the Straw Hats and kid, if kid is like willing to work with somebody and learn, I think that's kind of the big thing for him. Like I don't really see him wanting to come, work with everybody. He needs to, right? But I don't know if that's necessarily the route he would take, like for him to come agree to training. I feel like Kid's the kind of guy who's going to get so mad that he's just going to like try to figure it out himself and maybe fail, maybe succeed, which would be cool. But I feel like part of his character arc should be realizing that he needs to accept help sometimes. Remember, like they were, and I know he left, but remember they were literally in Udon prison where Luffy was getting advanced armament lessons from Hyogoro, and Kid left before this, but still, Oda had Kid leave the prison and go get captured and come back instead of just leaving him there to train. You know what I mean? And again, he left to go get Killer before that. It's not like he was even given the option, but I just think like, I don't know, Oda has not really wanted Kid to get any kind of training, I guess is what I'm talking about. It seems like Kid just keeps going at it. So we'll see. But I do think the rest of the Straw Hats need some Conqueror's lessons. I don't know about all of them because, like, I don't know. I don't really see some of the like outside the monster trio straw hats necessarily weaponizing conquerors. I mean, we still got to make sure, like Zoro just learned that he even has it, which like technically he was told in Wano, but apparently he didn't fully understand because he wasn't sure whenever Scopper told him. But also for Sanji, we still got to figure that out. So I feel like the rest of the straw hats, that might be a ways down the line, but the monster trio probably needs some lessons, and Kid needs the lessons. I don't know if he's going to accept them, but he does. So yeah, I think a lot of characters are gonna learn about conquerors one way or another. And then you also said Garling's crew has the same hat type as Mihawk's. Let me go see if I can. I I'm not exactly. I'm not maybe because it also kind of looks like a cowboy hat to me. If I'm being honest, like I know what you mean, but I also can see a cowboy hat, right? At least in my opinion. Which like it kind of is Mihawks, but like not really. You know what I'm saying? It's enough. It's enough that might make for a cool theory. I'm not sure if I 100% agree they're the same hats, but they're close enough to where you could definitely make a theory that Mihawk's dad was one of Garling's crewmates or something to that effect, right? Um, which like does it make sense for Garling's crew to even wear cowboy hats? That feels a little weird. I mean, I guess God Valley is kind of like the Wild West, so maybe that's what Oda was going for to make him like have a cowboy themed crew. But um but yeah, I don't know. It's almost like the dip in the hats is too deep for it to be Mihawks because Mihawks is like very small and theirs are like very pronounced. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I think you could definitely make a cool theory about Mihawk's dad being Garling's crewmate or something to that effect, for sure, for sure. Let's see. Where are we at? Missing Jules with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Jules. Big fan of you content creators that read TCB. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you all. Jules, thank you very, very much. Yeah, I'm definitely a tried and true TCB believer. I mean, we love the officials as well. Just waiting on the officials to, ideally release the digital version, a little bit earlier. I think that's the big thing. So, of course, TCB does a great job, though. They do very, very good translations and very good panel cleanup and stuff. So, definitely a fan of TCB. Fan of the official too. Like I said, I just wish they were a little quicker. But thank you very much, Jules. Seriously, appreciate you for the support. I hope you had a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays as well. Enjoy the new year. We have a lot to look forward to next year. Like it's kind of crazy that Oda, and maybe he did it on purpose, maybe he didn't, but we're ending the flashback like right at the end of the year, so we can kick off next year most likely with some emu fighting stuff going on. So that'll be very fun. That'll be very fun. So thank you, Jules. Mr. Bushido with the €2. Somehow Usopp gets that squirrel. I think that's interesting. I mean, the question for me would be, so can you separate like I don't think Usopp's gonna get Ragnar like full time because I mean this is Loki's weapon, right? Now there could be a moment where maybe Ragnar chooses Usopp like in a very specific moment for like a one-off thing that I could see. But if he were to get this hammer or the squirrel like long term, then I think we'd have to separate them so that way Loki can keep the hammer and then Usopp gets the squirrel. Because like I said, with this being Loki's main weapon and it being so important, outside of Loki dying eventually, which I just don't see happening, I don't think he's going to lose the weapon. But if there's a way to separate out the squirrel from the hammer, which I don't know if the hammer would then lose its strength, but if so, then it might be kind of cool if Usopp did team up with that squirrel somehow, right? And then the hammer just stayed with Loki, so they're separate. I'm not sure how you would do that, to be honest. I feel like you would have to like kill the hammer, quote unquote, because it would be kind of like Smiley from Punk Hazard, where once it blew up, then the fruit reincarnated. So like you'd have to just like destroy the hammer, I guess. So maybe that's what happens. Maybe Ragnar gets destroyed and then the squirrel goes with Usopp, maybe is what happens. That's also a possibility. But then again, I would just feel weird like taking away Loki's main weapon. You know what I mean? To me, that would just feel a little. Unless he gets something better, but this feels like, I mean, it's hard to beat this. This super powerful hammer with the squirrel imbued. That's pretty dope. So yeah, I feel like what might happen though is Loki just gets knocked out at some point or gets incapacitated, and then Usopp walks over and grabs it, and for some reason Ragnar lets him do it, and it's just like a one-off thing where it's like, then for the rest of the time, Usopp could be like, yeah, I mean, I could grab Ragnar and use it if I wanted, but I got better things to use, right? That could be like the joke for the rest of the time. So I don't know. There obviously there will be some major Usopp moment at some point. I'm not sure if it's going to be that hammer, but he's going to do something crazy for sure. David Cott, Davy D Cott super chatted €2 and said, Oda isn't doing a good job hyping the Holy Knights for D end. Yeah, I got to agree with you there. The Holy Knights and also the Gorosei, right? The Gorosei to me have already been kind of, I don't know what the right way to put it is, but I'm not that impressed by them, I guess. Like if they show up, I'm not freaking out. Like maybe Garling just because we haven't seen him and he's like a late addition and whatever, but like for the most part, I'm not that worried if the Gorosei pull up. And the Gods Knights are reaching a similar territory. And like I really love that addition of the Gods Knights hunting down or trying to get Shanks, right? Like hunting down the Roger Pirates over and over. But like while I like the addition, it almost adds to what you're saying, David, because it's like, okay, so the Gods Knights have been active in the world, going after pirates repeatedly, but they just get cooked every time. It's like, it feels like the Marines a little bit, which like some of the Marines, like the admirals or fleet admirals might, still be really important and powerful. But for the most part, we are not worried about the Marines anymore, right? And so, because like we know the Marines go against pirates all the time and try capturing them, but obviously fail over and over. And every time they fight, the Marines tend to lose, or at least they don't look very good, I would argue. And so it feels like the same thing where like the Holy Knights now, it's like, okay, so wait, they pulled up on Roger a bunch of times and just got cooked every time, including Garling. Well, it looked just like our captain's son. Okay, so it wasn't Garling himself, although I wouldn't be shocked if Garling himself pulled up too. But the fact they pull up all the time and just get cooked, and then God Valley, they did not look good. I agree with you. I'll put it that way. I agree with you. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what Emu does. That's really my big thing now. Is like I like, because with the way it's set up in Elbaf, you can probably presume that we're going to get out of this in some way. Like we are going to escape Emu's grasp, and not everyone's going to die from this. So, but I hope it's done in a way where Emu still feels really threatening, because like that's kind of the last bastion of like strength, I feel like, for the government. Although I guess, they do have the Lelucia weapon, which will probably help a little bit. And maybe Emu hasn't gone all out in the sense of powering up the Gods Knights. That could also be an angle to this. Like I would venture a guess that like similar to how Emu just took over Gunko's body, there might be like another layer to the Gods Knights where Emu can like, elevate them even stronger. And so maybe they will become a threat later. Which, I mean, they are a threat now, but I just mean like maybe they will be more daunting than they feel. But I do agree with you. He's not making them feel like we should be overly concerned. You know what I mean? So I agree. Reese Lucas with the $10 super chat. Very, very holiday appropriate. All hail the world's greatest nutcracker, Ragnir, which is honestly so funny that you say that. Not even because of the holidays, but because also obviously it's a hammer, which you could use to, crack some nuts, but then he's also a squirrel who would obviously be collecting said nuts and need to crack them. So honestly, that's like a triple entendre right there. So you know what, Reese Lucas, you're right. That is the world's greatest nutcracker. I agree. Yeah, Ragnar, man. I wonder if that's how this started. If we're actually going to make like real talk, if we're trying to make a serious theory out of this, what if the reason that that squirrel fruit merged with the hammer was because the squirrel wanted to go crack some nuts open and couldn't crack like a giant nut that it found. And it's like, okay, let me go merge with this giant hammer so I can do it. And that's literally how it started, was making the world's greatest nutcracker so this squirrel could eat. Now, the squirrel would have been trapped inside the fruit, but we know how the will of zones work and everything. So, Reese Lucas, I don't know if you were, I feel like you were just joking, but I'm going to be honest, you might have been cooking. You might have been cooking. I actually really like that idea. He's also on Elbaf, so there'd be giant nuts that like a regular sized squirrel couldn't crack. So he's like, let me go merge with a giant hammer. Look, man, that hey, that's a that I don't know if you meant it, but that's a Reese Lucas original. That's a Lonely Mage OG theory right there. Yeah, David, you said, or I can't tell if you were talking about the Nutcracker or not. But you said that's a good theory, actually. I don't know if you were talking about something earlier, but I honestly like the Nutcracker idea. Now that I think about it, like that's something that Oda would do, is what I'm thinking. Like Oda would love to make like a funny little plot line where a squirrel just wanted to go eat some nuts and became the world's strongest hammer. Like that just is there like a myth about this? If there is, then it's locked in. Um, David, you also had €2 and said after Ragnir's intro, it's over for Chopper merch. That's actually so true. Like, look, I'm down. I've never bought any Chopper merch, but I will buy Ragnar merch right now. If there was a Ragnar plush, it would just take my money. Just swipe the card. Just put the Apple Pay near the machine. You know what I'm saying? Like we just huge fan of this guy. And you know who he reminds me of? Let me actually look this up. Okay, he doesn't really remind me of him, but it was something that just crossed my mind. Was do you guys remember Bunbuku? Bunbuku? You guys know who that is? Because I honestly didn't even know this individual had a name until I just looked it up. But Bunbuku is Tama's teapot that ate the Tanuki zone fruit. So it's also kind of like this. Like now we don't know how that teapot ate the zone fruit. We don't know how zones get mixed into objects in general, but it's also just like a similar vibe as a squirrel. I feel like, and that did remind me of that. But yeah, Ragnar. Look, I'm buying all the Ragnar merch. Hit me up. Hit me up. All right. What is the next super chat here? Jiggly101 with the $10 super chat. Thank you very much, Jiggly. Ragnar seemingly being Ratotsker. I'm definitely butchering that, but you guys know what I mean. Ragnar seemingly being Ratatotsker. Messenger who climbs up and down the world tree means he may climb the tree ahead of Loki and deem Usopp worthy or lied to fight momentarily until Loki gets up. That's interesting about climbing the world tree, because also remember Loki climbed the Atom Tree as a baby, and so I wonder if that's also I'm going to tie a connection here. Let me look up. I know I'm not saying it right. Rattatosker, is this the inspiration for Rattata, the Pokemon? It's like almost in the name. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know how to. It doesn't even give me a pronunciation on the wiki page, man. Come on. So Ratotsk, I don't know. Generally considered to mean drill tooth or boar tooth, is a squirrel who runs up and down Yggdrasil to carry messages between the eagles perched atop it and the serpent Neaugur, I think is how you. I don't know. I don't know. A lot of accent marks. Who dwells beneath one of the three roots of the tree. Ratatotsker is attested in the poetic Edda, compiled in the 13th century, blah, blah, blah. Rata and Tosker, the element Toskers generally mean to... Oh, okay, so it's rat tusk is generally what that's trying to say. Got it. Okay. That's like I said, that's really interesting given the context that Loki climbed the Atom Tree as a baby. Now, but it's also interesting that that's not what showed Ragnar that he was worthy or whatever. Because you would imagine if he saw Loki climbing the tree as a baby, it's like, oh, okay, like that's my guy right there. Like he knows what he's doing. But he didn't. But it was the hammer thing. But I still think that fits really well theme wise, right? That this being based on something that climbs the world tree is now belonging to a guy who climbed Adam Tree. I think that's great. Um, and then you brought up that he may climb the tree ahead of Loki and then deem Usopp worthy until Loki gets up. That would be really interesting too. So like maybe the situation is they have to go to the heaven realm for some reason, and Loki like can't climb. Like Loki could probably just put Ragnar in his back, but maybe by this point Ragnar will reveal itself to the rest of the crew, and then because it's like a creature, they're gonna let it, like Oda's gonna keep it in creature form because it's way cuter and funnier to have the hammer running around as like an actual creature, and Chopper will probably become friends with it, right? There's a lot of stuff there. So I do think that eventually the hammer will just be like full-time creature unless they're fighting. And so yeah, so maybe what happens is they all start climbing the tree, but then Loki gets pried off the tree, and then that lets Ragnar and Usopp be alone for a moment where Usopp can like earn its trust or something. I actually really like that. Like I said a few super chats ago, I can't remember whose it was, but I talked about like I don't think Loki's ever gonna like lose Ragnar permanently. I don't see this becoming like Usopp's permanent weapon or anything, just because I mean it's Loki's, right? It would feel weird unless he's gonna die or something. But if it's something like that where they get separated and there's like one moment where Usopp gets to shine with it and then he gives it back, I think that's perfect. And then he can just like he can act the rest of the time like, oh yeah, well it's pretty cool, but I don't need it, right? He can act like he just add some bravado to it. So I love that Jiggly. I think I'm fully on board because it would also make sense to happen in the heaven realm. So like if they're climbing the tree together to the heaven realm, and then I mean we're talking about God Usopp, right? And then Loki thinks he's a god, but if it ends up being that God Usopp is the one who uses Ragnar to beat like a demon or something, that would be even more fitting. So I love that, Jiggly. I think you're absolutely cooking. David Cott again with the €5. This proves that Gunko's personality is different because she's been under Emu's control for decades. 100%. I'm glad you brought this up. Only Brooke's music makes her real soul come out. Yeah, so I think that this is like really important context where like I don't know if we can say this for all of the Gods Knights, but a good amount of the Gods Knights are now like they're completely brainwashed, right? And we've all talked about this for a little bit. Gunko was the easiest example to see this, but I think it's really important to get like a full confirmation of it, to even the point to where Harold's like, well, it's messing with my thoughts. I'm not like getting completely controlled. It's making me believe, like earnestly believe the things that I'm doing, right? I want to see what exactly he was saying. Where's it at? Yeah, that thing is influencing my thought. Or yeah, you were being controlled, weren't you? Not quite. So so they're not being completely like puppeteered like it's Doflamingo, but it's like Emu is making their mind literally believe the things that like Emu needs them to believe. So so as far as Gunko goes, it like I think Brooks' music will become a big part, but it really wasn't his music that even did it originally, because it was just it was Colin yelling for dad, right? Let me go back down and go read that chapter real quick. I think it was 1149. Yeah, so it was whenever yeah, because Colin's yelling daddy over and over because Scopper got knocked off the tree. And it's in the midst of that she connects back to like her yelling father, and then she remembered Brooke, and she's like, wait, I forgot about all this. Wait, what's going on? She didn't actually say that, but that's what I imagine she is thinking roughly. And so I do agree with you though that Brooke's music will probably be like the final send off to like almost separate Emu from Gunko, or at least to make the Gunko that's still in there annoy Emu enough to like mess with the powers, right? I made this connection in like several videos, but it's just like Sindri, where like Sindri, like the original Sindri was still in there. It's just the shadow was like taking control. But then by the end, the real Sindri was able to show through and like defy the orders. And I feel like we're setting up for a similar thing. Brooke is going to play a certain song, or I don't even know, just drop a specific bar. I don't really know. Something that like reaches back to like, the real Gunko, and then she will just not like defeat Emu, but just stop letting Emu use this body as a vessel kind of thing. So yeah, and it's really important because this is something else that I think we have to highlight is like in a very similar way to how they were saying, or Shanks was saying that he wants to save Harold instead of like letting him die, like he wants to somehow stop, this abyss mark stuff that's going on, or deep sea mark, whatever it's called. Like he wanted to save Harold, not just kill him. I think that's going to become a point for the Gods Knights as well, because if we come to learn that all of them like aren't really the way they are, like Emu has turned them into what they are, then I think 100% we're going to get to this plot line where like Luffy and the Straw Hats aren't going to want to just straight up defeat the Gods Knights. They're going to want to save the Gods Knights, right? It's almost similar to how like Nami and Robin and even Sanji at certain points have all like acted like enemies or acted like they were going to leave the crew, right? And Luffy saw right through it and was like, no, we got to go save him anyway. I don't care. Like, this isn't really who they are. I think there's going to be a similar thing here where he's going to recognize like, oh wait, no, these knights, they aren't actually bad. We gotta help them. We gotta, like, they don't actually want to fight for the bad guys. You know what I mean? And that'll become important because like, if they want to save them, then they can't really go all out and just kill them. So there'll be this weird, middle ground where they're trying to like save everybody, like both the Gods Knights and the other people. And I think that'll lead to some like moral dilemmas of some sort. So I agree with you, David, 100%. Mr. Bushido with the €2. I feel Dragon killed a knight, and that's why he's most wanted. I don't know. I don't know if he would have killed a knight. I mean, he could have. I don't want to rule it out. But as far as why he's the most wanted, I feel like that could be part of it. But I almost think his connections with the knights is going to be a little bit like not entirely antagonistic. Like he definitely hates them, but like I wouldn't be surprised at all if Luffy's mom was a God's Knight, for example. Like, and then he just met her and he realized like kind of like we just said with the last super chat, they aren't really that bad. They're like brainwashed, and maybe he met one before the brainwashing and then she got brainwashed, and then maybe he did have to kill her or something, and that's where like a lot of this starts maybe. So maybe he did, but I feel like the connection there is going to be deeper than simply just antagonistic. Like I was thinking, and maybe it is, but I feel like there's going to be something deeper there. We still got to figure out about Luffy's mom. I don't know if she's going to be a holy knight, or maybe she will be a regular celestial dragon, and maybe a God's Knight found out she was seeing dragon, and so that God's Knight killed Luffy's mom, and now that's why there's animosity. That could also work. But yeah, I think there's going to be something there, something deeper. Knack Talk with the Canadian $10. Thank you very, very much, brother. And this is your second one of the day, right? I was making sure I'm not rereading the same one a second time. Thank you very much. Dak, first off, Merry Christmas to you and your fam. Secondly, this final interaction between Harold and Loki absolutely broke me. This was so tragic to read. End of a tragic character. Rip Harold. I agree, man. I agree. That like once I got done reading this, I think I say this all the time, but like I got the camera on me, so my thoughts and reactions are a little bit different. But like, I was definitely emotional. I'm reading that like, bro, like that's that if I was reading this chapter alone, I would have sat there for a few minutes and just thought like, man, like this guy. That I think that's why I said I was gonna I must do a Harold video at this point, because I just feel so like I don't even know what the right words are, to be honest, how I feel about this guy, because like it's not like I'm super sad that he's dead necessarily, because I know he was doing some bad stuff and they had to stop him because he was hurting everybody. But I'm also like, like this whole situation, there's just so many like moral dilemmas throughout the whole thing on how he got here. And then for Loki to like, recognize like this isn't really my dad in front of me, but it is. Like he's not thinking his normal thoughts. He's not normally this bad guy, but now I got to do it. And Loki's also you know, gone through a lot in terms of people thinking negatively of him. And so he has a lot of emotional weight on him right now where he's thinking like, well, I mean, I don't even know how much Loki really cares about what people think of him anymore, but I'm sure he's still recognizing like, well, you know, if I take you out, they're all going to hate me even more, right? They are not going to believe me that you became evil and I had to stop you. And he's right. It's just, there's so much emotional weight behind all of this. And for it to be like, you know, Harold, we didn't even know him till like a year ago. Like, I think that was around a year ago, maybe a little more, was the first time we saw like the portrait of him. And it's like, for us to see this, and it's just like, I don't know, like Loki's been through a lot. Harold's been through a lot. Harold is good and bad. Like, he's very good and very bad and very dumb. He's like all the different things. Man, there's just so much to say. Like, genuinely, I got to do a video on it. That's my takeaway. I got to do a video on it. Harold's definitely a character that speaks to me, not in a way where I necessarily agree with him, of course, but like, I just think Oda just absolutely cooked with this character. So, yeah, I know what you mean. He's a tragic character. That's a good way to put it. It is like, he's a guy who is trying to do the right thing, and in a lot of ways he did, but he also took some really bad routes to get there, and it's just like, just a lot to say. So I agree with you, Knack. I agree. Mr. Bushido with the €2. Nami beats Summers with a lightning strike. That'd be cool too. I would like that. Now, I mean, I guess I'm just thinking like, is Summers the best one? I mean, like, he has orange hair, so like you could say that, and so, but like Summers has already gotten beaten up quite a bit. I'm trying to think of who like. And Summers was a creep back with like in God Valley. Now, will Nami know about that? I don't necessarily know. Well, he wasn't really a creep, but he was gonna go kill what Shaki. I don't know why I forgot her name. I went through like 10 different names. I was like, not her. What's the name? Shaki. Oh, yeah, because I was thinking Shaku Yaku the whole time. I'm like, wait, that's something like that. Shaki. It's definitely Shaki. But like, he wasn't a creep with her, but he, you know, he went in and like was gonna kill her or whatever. So I don't know if that maybe there's like a parallel there where maybe Summers is gonna kill Nami and then Nami gets like the revenge. I don't know. I think I do. I could see Nami definitely like at least doing this and like holding them off. Like, Nami straight up beating a God's Knight feels like a lot, you know, even if like the lightning parallel kind of makes sense, it just feels like a lot. But I could definitely see her doing it at least to you know, like just inflict some pain because she doesn't like him for some creepy thing he does, you know. Dustin Halo with the $5 super chat. Loki's fruit made him a predator, Ragnir a squirrel. Loki the forest god stocks are up. If it's a mythical god fruit, like we've been led to think. I mean, it's forest god. I mean, I guess I'm looking through. I mean, I think that's a very interesting idea. I guess I'm just looking through here to see what kind of seems like a forest god. You know what I'm saying? I get. Is it because Ragnar's a squirrel? Is that what you're saying? Because he's a squirrel now, and also, I mean, Loki's always been friends with animals, so there's always been that layer to it. So I guess if that's what you're going for, I think that's a pretty cool idea. You know, I've always liked the theories about Chopper maybe being the forest god for a similar idea, because like, he was born in a forest, he's a reindeer, he can talk to all sorts of other creatures, he's even shown kindness towards other creatures before, so like, it's this kind of thing. He also wants to like find the perfect cure to like help living things, which seems like something a forest god would want to do, because like the forest is like the embodiment of life in a lot of ways. So if you're saying that because Ragnar's a squirrel, and so the squirrel is going to protect the fruit of the forest god, which I think is what you're getting at, I like that. I think that's a cool. I think that's a really that would be a very cool way for Oda to tie it all together, right? And also Loki being chained to the Adam tree, like one of the biggest trees there is. I think that'd be cool. You know, personally, I still look at the mural and I think that like the forest god is meant to be Emu, but at the same time, like, part of the reason I think that is because, well, they say the forest god like tamed devils, and there's a lot of other stuff. I've done multiple videos on it if you're curious, but there's just a lot of stuff that makes me think it could be Emu. But the biggest thing is that it's a dragon at the top of a tree. Emu is the head of the celestial dragons, probably stays at the top of the Eve tree. So I've been thinking that that would make sense for Emu. But by the very same logic, Loki is tied to a tree all the time, and I presume eventually will go to the top. I assume we're going to go to the Heaven Realm eventually. And so it could be the same idea where, like, if I'm thinking dragon at the top of a tree means forest god, well, Loki could also go to the top of a tree. He's here with the tree, right? So by using the same logic, I think I could definitely believe that. So, yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. And so I think what I'll say real quick also is I still kind of lean Emu for the forest god just because of the Eve tree stuff, but Loki's a really good second place, and then Chopper can be a really good third place. I think those are some of the leading candidates, because, like, not that people really say this, but, like, I do not see the forest god being like a Green Bull type of power, right? Whoever is the forest god, I don't see them just making a bunch of trees. I see them having, just like Luffy, how he's the sun god, but doesn't really do anything with the sun necessarily. I think it's the same logic. So I like that. Now I really wonder what Loki turned into. If it is the forest god fruit, like, what does this manifest into? Like, what does the forest god look like necessarily, right? Like I said, the way that he's like running here makes me think it's like a like a four-legged animal. And the way, and with how and after he transforms, you can see how happy Ragnar is. So it makes me think it would be like another forest animal. You know what would be really cool, guys? And I don't think this is going to be it, if I had to be honest. But what if it's what if the forest god fruit is a reindeer fruit, and that's why he looks like a four-legged animal here? And so obviously that would tie back to Chopper, right? Where like the forest god is a reindeer, and then Oda can create a cool secondary plot line where like is Loki the forest god, or is Chopper the forest god? Because if the forest god's a reindeer who, like helps people, I don't know what exactly the reason all that logic is, but like it could just create a cool thing where it's like Loki may have the power of the forest god, but Chopper is the real one because he embodies it or something. I think that'd be cool. Also, Loki has horns, so like it already fits pretty well with the antler kind of thing. I don't know. I don't think that's going to be it, but I think Oda might be kind of cooking if that's it, though. If it like being a reindeer fruit would be so random, but I don't know. Let's see. Where is my next super chat here? XL Bean Boy, I'm an hour behind, so I need to pick up the speed a little bit here. Let's see. Bean Boy, member for 33 months. My guy, appreciate you. I think the hammer is made from poneglyph stone. I think I agree. Well, I agree with you, I think. And the reason I say I think is I know people have brought up the idea that like the hammer is a poneglyph. We haven't seen any writing, and it's also rectangular, so I've been saying on a few streams, I don't think that's necessarily going to be it, but being made of the same material, that I like, because then it makes it almost indestructible and whatever. Now, the reason I say I think I agree, meaning that I'm not 100% sure, is because I think we were told that poneglyphs were made with pyrobloin, right? And isn't that the same thing that goes in sea stone? Or no, or I can't. Hold on, let me look it up. Because doesn't sea stone, I'm trying to have the same, because I know pyrobloin's made in the clouds, which also goes into sea stone. Did we learn that that's also in the poneglyphs? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because we know that, like, hold on one second. I'm reading this real quick. Okay, yeah, I don't see it, but we know that Wano made the poneglyphs, and doesn't Wano also make sea stone? Yeah, okay, so sea stone, yeah, right. So Wano first made sea stone and the poneglyphs. And so I'm thinking that there's a tie there somehow. And now I don't think we know that for sure. I'm just double checking, but yeah, I don't think we do. But that makes me think there's probably a connection, which would be pyrobloin or pyrobloin, however you pronounce that. So if sea stone and poneglyphs are made from roughly the same material, then I'm not. It's not, and it's not the exact. I almost knocked that over. It's not the exact same material, but if they have a similar components, then part of me wonders if you could even imbue a fruit into a poneglyph, because if it has any of the properties of sea stone, you might think it just can't. Now, I don't think we know that like I said, poneglyphs are the exact same, but the fact they're made from the same place, it makes you wonder, I guess, is what I'm getting at. So, I like the idea. I guess we might have to get a little poneglyph lore first. Where am I at? Mr. Bushido with the €2 super chat. Loki is a mythical rooster dragon model cockatrice. All right, I will put that into your. I don't even know. I was gonna say put that'll be, if that happens next week. I'll get, you're gonna get a bunch of flowers, I guess is what I'm getting at. Put that in the save that, because I mean that's I don't even know, is a cockatrice really? Hold on, let me look. Oh, well, we actually have one in One Piece, apparently. A two-legged dragon, wyvern, or serpent-like creature with a rooster's head. Okay, yeah. Hey, that might work. That might work. I like that. Like I said, save that one. You'll get a ton of flowers if that's it. I think that's a very, very cool idea. I kind of doubt it, just because, like, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but since it's the mythical, like, special legendary fruit of Elbaf, and we already saw that Ragnir was like a cute forest creature, I feel like Oda, like, I don't know, like, whenever I look at at least the cockatrice that we've had in One Piece before, which was I think his name was Basilisk. Yeah, he was in Impel Down. It's almost like he almost looks like a smile fruit kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like a rooster and dragon combo, like, looks weird, sort of. And so I just don't know if Oda's gonna do that for the mythical fruit of Elbaf just because it looks so weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he's gonna try to do something really cool, personally, or something very, like, One Piece specific. Like, you know, like the Nika fruit. Like, Nika is just a One Piece god. If we do the forest god thing, that's gonna be like a One Piece centric thing. So I think that might be more of it. But you know, a cockatrice, they just look really strange. So that's my, like, a little bit of hesitation, is just Oda would have to really, he'd have to make it look really cool. And so I like the idea, but like I said, you'll get tons of flowers if that's it, for sure, because I haven't heard that one before. RQ member for 14 months. Does Ragnir's squirrel form solo top 5 of the verse? Yes. It depends who the top 5 are. If you're talking like Gaimon and Laboon, and who else is up there? Tanjit and trying to think, Shushu. Then if we're talking that top 5, then I think the top 5 is good. But if you're talking most people's top 5, I don't know. I mean, if they said that Ragnar has not deemed anyone worthy all this time, and I would imagine that people have tried, right? Like, you would imagine that Harold tried to like get Ragnar to like him. And so if he couldn't, right? If Harold failed to get Ragnar to work with him, but Harold could also go toe to toe with Rox, then that means that Ragnar is Rox level. And I think most people would say that Rox is near the top, near the top of the top 5 all time, at least. So yeah, Ragnar is going to clear the top 5, other than, you know, Gaimon and Laboon and them, of course. Interesting. I think yeah, Ragnar's coming out on top. Cloud Lizard with 2 back-to-back super chats. If a rooster fruit, there could be foreshadowing with Samurai Champloo, Mugen as a rooster, Sunflower, Chipmunk. Personally, I think Lycanthrope, though. I have not seen all the Samurai Champloo. I got halfway through, and my friend Max, if you're watching, I will finish it. I know I said that like a year ago, and I just haven't gotten to it. I got halfway through. But so I don't know enough of that, but I'm gonna look up what lycanthrope is. Mythological person who can shape shift. The AI overview. So the AI overview said a lycanthrope is a mythological person who can shapeshift into a wolf or wolf-like creature. It wasn't just shapeshift, shapeshift, all one word. Come on, AI. This is why we can't. This is why we can't trust AI right here. So basically, it's a werewolf. Is what we're looking at. Oh yeah, and then the actual dictionary definition in folk tales, a person who can transform into a werewolf. I could see that too. I think werewolf works. I think werewolf to me would be even more likely than a rooster. Like I said, like a cockatrice would just look. I mean, again, Oda could make it look good, but I feel like that's just I don't know. To me, that's like too much. It's like that's just gonna look like a smile fruit to me. And then like being a werewolf, like the problem with being a lycanthrope is just that like what's the difference between just having a mythical wolf devil fruit and a lycanthrope fruit? You know what I'm saying? Like, because like if you get a wolf fruit and you're a person who eats it, then you essentially become a lycanthrope, right? You're a person who can transform. So if you eat the fruit of a person who can transform, it's like I guess the idea is that it would be like a human fruit, I'm imagining. So then he can still downsize, but it is basically the same thing as becoming a having a wolf fruit. You know what I mean? Um, but we know that he was like really good friends with a wolf, so kind of not the same exact logic, but it's like I don't see Oda going that way because it'd be kind of duplicative. Like he's best friends with the wolf. We meet one right away, and then he has a Cerberus used on him, and then Loki also has wolf fruit. For me, it like I don't know if Oda's gonna go that way personally. I feel like if anybody's gonna have wolf powers, it'll probably be Garling, if I had to guess. But which I don't even know if he'll have a zone fruit because it seems like the Gorosei just have like just demon zone transformations that aren't really devil fruits. So so yeah, I guess that's kind of my thought on it. What else did you say? Hold on. Oh, okay, that's a separate thought. I didn't know if this was an additional thought. I'll read the next one in a second. But yeah, I do like that idea, but I don't know. I feel like again, it would feel a little duplicative for him, and I could see Garling doing it. But like if we just look at the panels that we have, I think like werewolf kind of makes sense because we see he gets these claws, we see his hair gets all spiky at the top, and that at least like in the werewolves that I'm mentally thinking of, that's like what I would envision. Like because like let me go down here. Also, we see that he's like on four legs, so if he turned into an actual wolf, then that would be where that is. So I think that could work. I really want to zoom in on that fruit, though. The fact that we can kind of see it, but Oda made it so small that we can't really see it, I think is just crazy. Yeah, we're going to have to do some analysis. We're going to have to zoom in on that for sure. Let's see. Let's see. Then Cloud Lizard, you also said, did you notice the whale in the tattoo? My theory on whale fishmen being celestial dragons is looking nice. Whale in the tattoo. Let me go look. Are you talking about Harold's tattoo? Or is there a different tattoo? I don't see one in his tattoo. Is there one in Loki's tattoo? Trying to look through all the perceived tattoos here. I assumed you meant Harold's, but I don't see it there. I am not sure. I am not sure which one. I gotta hold on. I gotta refresh. Or maybe it's gonna pop up over here. Hold on. Yeah, Harold's. Yeah, I I don't see it on Herald's. Because I mean, we know what the design looks like, right? The mark already. Yeah, I mean the. Are you talking about like the horns at the top? Is that maybe what you're getting at? I guess I'm just confused. Yeah, the at least the one clear shot we got of the tattoo this chapter was like where it's like regenerating. So it's just the normal mark, but he's like there's like a cut in his arm still, right? It's like regenerating. At least I think that's what you're talking about. Maybe you thought that maybe looked like a whale. But the original mark, I mean, I still like the connections between whale and celestial dragons because of their hair, but I don't think that the mark has much. I mean, maybe I'm just missing it here, but the ones I'm looking at look like the typical one where it's just like this the circle, the cross, and the horns. You know what I'm saying? But maybe I'm missing it. Mr. Bushido with the €5 super chat. Yamato Wolf is the guardian fruit of Wano. Ragnir is guardian of Elbaf. I think we'll get a guardian deity category. Carrot gets a devil fruit for Zoe to join, or for Zoe join the Discord. I thought the way I was reading that, I thought you were saying Carrot's going to join the Discord. I was like, well, look, I'll have to get the mod team on that one. We'll have to make sure that doesn't happen. But yeah, the guardian fruit thing is interesting because another point to that is like Yamato does have the guardian fruit of Wano, but I think during Egghead, Vegapunk also said, or no, when Luffy was talking to Vegapunk, Luffy even said like, yeah, Momo's the guardian deity of Wano now, and it's like, okay, so they sort of have two now, like, and so and the reason I think that's interesting is it's like, so what made Yamato's known as the guardian fruit of Elbaf, and like I guess I just what is the logic behind these fruits being called that, and like what's the importance of it? Because now that we've had two for the same place, I don't really know how much to read into it necessarily, um but I do think that like this island's definitely going to have one for sure. Like that's basically what this is the guardian deity of Elbaf. Although would and maybe in a similar boat is Loki's fruit the guardian deity, or is Ragnir's fruit the guardian deity? You know what I mean? Because Ragnir is protecting the fruit, so in some ways Ragnir's protecting it, but in reality that fruit is probably also meant to be used by someone who's protecting Elbaf, I would imagine. So maybe that's the point. Maybe there are two for every island because they keep each other in check, maybe is the idea. Um, but yeah, I don't see Carrot getting a fruit, unfortunately. I don't see that happening. I also like the unfortunately for the minks, like they're already like humanoid animals, so they all like, at least in my opinion, like kind of feel like zones a little bit, At least that's why I think Carrot didn't join the crew, is like we already have Chopper, who's like a cute little animal, humanoid animal thing due to his zone, and it's like Carrot would just any mink would kind of feel like the same thing a little bit, even though they're obviously different situations. Um, so that's one downside to them getting fruits, is it's like they already have transformed, I guess is kind of the idea. But also the bigger thing that hurts them is they're on Zunisha's back, and that's like it is an island, but it's also like not like if Zunisha dies, they don't have an island anymore, unless they're just going to stay on Zunisha's corpse forever. But I would imagine that if Zunisha dies, they're not going to do that. And so I don't know if Zunisha would have a guardian deity fruit in the same way these other islands would, because Zunisha isn't even like really an island per se, right? Zunisha's almost more of a ship than an island. Like Zunisha almost needs a Klabautermann. So, so I don't know. I don't think Zunisha slash Zoe is gonna have any guardian deities other than the minks themselves. Probably going back to what I was saying, how they're like already almost zones. They probably are the guardian deities of it for now, right? I would say at least. Mr. Bushido with the €2 again. Now you said Usopp gets Usopp gets the hammer, Loki takes Harold's sword. Personally, I don't see that happening at all, because we saw that Harold or Loki had a sword or a hammer before this, and then he upgraded the hammer. I don't see him having a hammer for pretty much his whole life and then swapping over personally. It's the same logic why I don't see Usopp getting a hammer full time, as he's a sniper, and it's going to feel really weird if his main weapon of choice is a giant hammer that can shapeshift now, because then why would he ever even snipe again? And people might say, well, you can snipe the hammer, you can shoot the hammer out, and it's like the hammer needs to supplement the sniping, right? It has to. He needs to be sniping most of the time, and then use the hammer in certain near combat situations. It shouldn't be hammer all the time. At least that's. I mean, it's my opinion. Maybe I don't know if everybody agrees with that, but that's why I think Usopp, if he's going to use the hammer, it's going to be in a one-off thing, and then he's done with it. And Loki's weapon of choice is a hammer. Usopp's is a slingshot. They got to stay in those lanes, I think. Because Usopp's literally the sniper of our crew, and he already doesn't do a very good job of it, if we're being honest. So he needs to step up. Titan Bait with the $5 super chat. I don't know if someone said this already, but Ragnar being the Rattata, I don't know how to say it. I'm just gonna say Rattata. Being Rattata makes me think Loki's fruit is based on the Needhog. Then we would have Need. I don't know how to pronounce that as well. Yeah, I have no idea how to pronounce it when the A and the E are combined into one character. I need to figure that out. Now that we're in LBF, I need to figure out how to do all these pronunciations. But yeah, let me look up what that one is real quick. Is Needhog just a giant dragon? Who said it said is to gnaw at the roots of the world tree and is likewise associated with the dead. I think that could work. I mean, going back to what we were talking about, I think you sent this before we talked about it, because I'm an hour behind now. My bad. But like the dragon at the top of the tree in the mural, right? That, like I was saying, might be Emu or symbolizing Emu, which I still think is honestly a good argument. But if we could almost use the same logic for Loki, where if he's going to be this dragon thing, then he would go to the top of the tree as well and maybe almost protect the tree, because he's protecting Elbaf, right? It's like the guardian deity of Elbaf in that way. And actually, if that's true, that adds a little bit of extra meaning to the fact that that dragon was fighting the serpent. Now, I think that also makes sense for Emu, because it seems like that serpent, the Hellfire serpent, is from, like the ancient kingdom probably. And so Emu opposed them. So I think that still makes sense. But also we know that the giants said that they can't, the only thing Dory and Brogy can't break is the serpent soaked in blood, which is the red line. And so we know that the giants kind of have an opposition with the red line then, because of that, or at least the culture is aware that they can't break it, right? And so that might become a point later for Loki to do. And so if that Hellfire serpent somehow does tie to the red line and it's opposing that dragon, which is Loki, then we would have a Loki versus red line kind of parallel there. And I really like that, because also with Loki having this giant hammer, he feels like a really good candidate to break the red line. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that ends up being his dream, or at least his ultimate purpose as being part of the crew. So, and that would actually parallel Zunisha as well, because I brought this up in a few videos, but like the idea of like the border around Wano and the red line are, in my opinion, parallels with one another, because they're both just giant borders around, well, one's for a country, one's for the whole world, right? And for as far as we know, Zunisha is the one who's supposed to break down the walls at Wano. It's like a special thing. Whenever the walls break, a weapon gets unleashed. There will be a war. Like, we know there's a lot of important stuff for those walls falling eventually. And for the red line, I feel like we might have the same argument. Like, people have brought up that it might get destroyed, and that's why Fishman Island has like that, crazy situation and all that. So we might have a little parallel here where like Zunisha breaking the red line might tie to Ragnir breaking, or Zunisha breaking the borders of Wano could parallel Ragnir breaking the red line eventually, which I think is possible. I think it'd be really cool, honestly. And I also think that leads, or maybe adds a little bit to the idea that Zunisha might be like an object with a zone fruit. Zunisha might just have a what is it? A Natsume Norita elephant zone fruit. I think that's its species name. Because Oda said that was like the species of Zunisha, but and Oda hasn't said that Zunisha has a devil fruit, but that could just be a reveal that he's saving for later, and that is the species of it. And so maybe, and that also adds to the idea that I've talked about for a while too, which maybe Pluton is also that. Maybe Pluton is a ship or a weapon given a zone fruit. Like maybe it's a giant weapon, and now that it has a mole fruit, it can now travel through the ground, and it's even more dangerous, and that was the whole idea. I don't know. I think we might find a lot of important living weapons soon, I guess is what I'm saying. Let's see. But yeah, so Titan bait also, I talked about it a little bit, but then I got sidetracked. Yeah, so for the Needhog, I like it because of the dragon at the top of the tree part. I got to look up what this is though. I forgot to look I don't even know. I'm just, hopefully the wiki will have a definition thing. Nope, it doesn't have any ways to pronounce it, but is a Jotun in Norse mythology. He's portrayed as the eagle-shaped originator of the wind. Hraesvelg, I don't know how to say the name, but has been translated as corpse swallower or as shipwreck current. There's a lot of different ways to spell it, apparently. But so I guess he's just a he's portrayed as an eagle shape. So is he a person, but he's also an eagle, I guess is the idea. I don't know if he can shapeshift or what, but he has the eagle wings. So I'm a big proponent of Loki having some kind of bird fruit, because if you look at his tattoo, like that's all across his chest, it looks like bird wings. And if you parallel that to Kaido had a bunch of scales tattooed on his body, and then he ended up having a dragon fruit, so it made perfect sense. So I actually like the idea that Loki has a bird fruit. At the very start of this arc, I thought that was the most likely thing, just simply because of the tattoo. And, going back to the Uranus thing, I think it would make sense if Loki does have a connection to Uranus, which we don't know for sure, but if he does, then that him having a bird fruit to tie into that would make sense, right? If Uranus is going to be the god of the sky, having a bird kind of aligns with that. So I'm down for any eagle or bird connection thing. I think that would be, for me, that would be the coolest. Now I know Bushido also brought up a rooster. The ironic thing about that is, like, they don't really fly, so it would kind of take away from it, but it would be funny for that reason. So maybe rooster is a little more likely, just for the meme of, like, he's a bird that can't fly, I guess. I think that'd be funny. Let's see. Mr. Bushido, Loki 1v1 versus Kaido. Who you bet on? I feel like that's a really tough question right now, to be honest. Like, because, like, I honestly want to stick with Kaido, not because of the 1v1 bet on Kaido, saying, but like, I don't really know how to gauge Loki's, like he's 63, but he's really 21, like, in human years or whatever, right? Like, because, like, they age slower or whatever. So should I take the fact that he's 63 to mean that he has, like, 63 years worth of battle experience and strength, or should I read it to really say that he has, like, 21 years of it? And the reason I say that is, like, and not that age is everything, but like if Loki's really had, like, if Loki's age counts as normal, then I'm definitely going to go Loki, because he's even older than Kaido is, and he's also an ancient giant, so he's way bigger, and he has Ragnir, he has all this going for him. And if those 60 whatever years really count as, like, normal years of practice and stuff, then Loki's hockey is, going to be insane, which I think it is, even based on this, so I would go Loki. But then if the logic is, like, I should act like he's a 21-year-old version of himself, you know what I'm saying? Because they age differently, which, like, I don't think really makes sense in this context, because you could just go, it's still the same amount of time. But if I were to understand eventually that, like, giants are really, because like they also age slower, right? You look at Colin, he's 20 something, but he's still like a child. So if we come to find out that like even though Loki's 63, he's really like a 21-year-old, then I still might go Kaido, because even though Kaido's smaller, he would in theory have more like battle strength or experience or what. I don't even know what the right way to put it is, because this age thing is so weird. But because because the giants age slower, I guess I just don't know really how to view Loki is my answer. So if we treat him like an actual 63-year-old giant who's literally been training this whole time and stuff, then I'm going Loki. If we come to find out the giants don't develop as quickly because of that, then I'm going to go Kaido, if that makes sense. I hope that made sense. I don't know. I feel like I was just blabbering, but I don't know. I still don't know how to really handle the giants' ages. Like I said, Colin's 20 something, but he's really like 7, and so that's why he's not that strong. As where like a human 20-year-old would be approaching their peak, right, or at least somewhat getting there. So I don't know. Kind of an interesting discussion, honestly. Mr. Bushido with the €5. Loki tried to reform the Rock's crew with Big Mom and Shiki, who calls himself a rooster when he sees a mirror. Shanks stopped him, and Moria takes crew zombies. I'm not sure if I don't know, that's a lot for me to think about in one super chat. I don't know. Personally, I don't see Loki trying to reform the Rock's crew. Because like even look at like the Big Mom thing, so is the idea that he went into the wedding believing that he was gonna get to like him and Big Mom were gonna be like on the same team, because he fell in love with Lola, right? So I don't think he went there trying to scheme anything with Big Mom. Personally, I mean, maybe I'm gonna be wrong, but I feel like he genuinely did love Lola. And so as far as that goes, like I'm not sure if I see it. Also, Shiki's just been completely MIA, so it's hard for me to say too much about it, like that they would have actually met, because Shiki's been working on a plan for the last 20 years. This happened 14 years ago, so then he would have had to go find Shiki wherever he's at with a plan that Shiki has already started out, right? Like Shiki was already putting the work in on it. And so it's like, I don't know. I guess I just don't have a lot to say that Loki would have wanted to team up with any of them personally. I mean, I think it's a cool idea, but for me, I think that's, like I said, it's just a lot to think about. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would lead me to think that's happening. And Shanks stopped him, and Moria takes crew zombies. And even there, like a lot of the zombies, we already know were like Captain John. We know how he died, and so it's like he died from a separate thing. So I guess like that wouldn't be Loki related. So I guess maybe, yeah. So yeah, I think like I said, it's a lot for one super chat. I don't think there's a lot there for me to say he would have done any of that, but I'm not sure. Interesting idea, but I don't think Loki, as much as he loved rocks, I don't think his goal was to recreate the crew personally. Vasil Vlad Ivanovici with the £5 super chat. I like to believe that Loki won over Ragnir not by overpowering it, rather after seeing it's an animal, he asked, "Sorry, I hurt you. Are you all right?" I I would love that. I seriously, I would be. Well, let me go look. Let me go look. Let me go look. So he says, "God, my hammer," and then we see Ragnar transform into the squirrel, and he's mad. And he's like kind of crying. And then then the next time we see the squirrel, he's letting Loki open the chest. So actually, you know what, Vlad, I agree with you. I think that is what happened. I completely agree. I didn't even really mentally think about this. I just kind of noticed like that, he hit him and then Ragnar got mad, and I presumed it was just that Ragnar was like, somebody finally was able to like inflict some pain on me. You are the one, or something like that. But now that you mention it, like his expression it's not like Ragnar's expression is like he's upset, right? If the idea was that, he got overpowered and was like, finally, someone's here who I can work with, you think he'd be like happy about it, which he is later, right? You see later, he's super happy and says squeak and all that. And so it's like, how did we go from him being mad to him being happy? Because if him getting that welt on his head was enough for him to get the idea that, like, oh yeah, Loki's the right one, then he wouldn't even be mad initially. That would be the thing that made him happy if that was really what convinced him. So I agree with you, Vlad. They probably had a little discussion after this where it's like, wait, I had no idea that you were a living creature. I love animals. I'm so sorry. Do you need me to go do something? And then Ragnar's going to be like, wait, you care? Like you support, you help creatures that are smaller and weaker than you, sort of thing. Okay, yeah, you can have this world-changing power then, because I know you're a decent person. Like that sort of logic. I'm with you, Vlad. I am so with you. I'm with you 100%, actually. And that also leads back to the forest god stuff. Now, the thing about Loki being the forest god, and I just clocked this, I should have mentioned this from our discussion earlier, but like, he says that he's the sun god, right? Loki was saying multiple times he's the sun god. And if he has the forest god fruit, maybe he just thinks that the fruit of the forest god is going to make him the sun god of, that the mural says or something. Like maybe there is some logic. But like in my head, if the fruit is of the forest god, I don't think he would go around saying he's the sun god. I feel like that's just it's a little bit weird. So maybe it's not the forest god, but him being but if he did, show Ragnar some love and was like trying to take care of him and felt bad for hurting him, and that convinced Ragnar, that would definitely make more, like that would lead me to believe that he is the forest god, or it is the forest god fruit, because one of the forest creatures is permitting you to do it, sort of thing. So I'm not, I guess I'm still 50-50 on the forest god thing, but I'm with you on your theory there, Vlad. I'm 100% with you. Loki, in like someone in the chat said, plumed black hat, Loki heart Ragnar. Yeah, Loki loves Ragnar. I love that idea so much, Vlad. You're cooking. I'm with you. Mr. Bushido with the €2. Can Emu force someone to get the deep sea mark? That's a really good question. I don't know if they can force anyone to get any marks, because if you go back to earlier in the arc, whenever they were starting to kidnap the children, they said like, oh, only those with the mark can be teleported using the pentagrams or whatever. And so why not just give the kids the mark right then? They're sleeping. They can't really do anything about it. If you want to make it really easy to kidnap them, you would just give them the mark right there. Now maybe Emu like has to do it, is, the idea or whatever. Cause like we know for the Gorosei, they gave Harold his first mark. And did we learn if the first mark gives you the teleportation? I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me see. Okay, yeah, so we haven't gotten, at least according to the wiki, we have not gotten any confirmation that the first mark actually gives any powers yet. But we do know that the second one gives you all sorts of other abilities. So I guess it kind of depends on that, because since the Gorosei were able to grant the first mark, but then Emu had to grant the second mark, that's important. But I feel like the way it works is you have to agree to the contract, I feel like that's, if I was in Oda's shoes, that's what I would do, is because like, I mean, yes, you could go like hypnotize them and make them agree to the contract or something, which might work. But I think it'd be really cool if they actually like had to agree to it in the first place, just because like then Emu could go give the mark to everyone on the planet willy nilly. And yes, they would all get crazy powers, but Emu could just control them anyway. So I think it makes more sense if they have to agree to it. So I don't think so. I don't think Emu can force them. I would say, again, because then like, not that the gods knights would probably call in Emu, but in theory, if they needed to kidnap the kids, they could just be like, "Hey, Emu, can you give all these kids marks so we can move them?" But then there's also only 13 marks, right? But now, is it only 13 because like Emu has a strict limit on 13, or is it 13 because like that's just how many Emu typically has at a time? You know what I'm saying? I think the way it was translated says like there is a max of 13, but like we know very little about that, you know what I mean? So overall, I don't think Emu can force them, because also another thing is, you think about Loki. They tried forcing him to join and he didn't want to, and they just kept like inflicting pain on him to get him to agree. But if they could have just given him the mark, like he was tied up, bring Emu over, have Emu give the mark, boom, you're good. So I think you do have to agree, if I had to guess. Mr. Bushido with the €5. Again, thank you very, very much. I feel people are too harsh on the Gods Knights. Yeah, Roger's crew kept beating them, but they are the Pirate King's crew, and they couldn't kill the Knights, just outlast them. I mean, I think that the problem with the Gods Knights isn't just the Roger thing. I think it's like everything else, the God Valley flashback, and just in general, I don't think they've looked that good. So then whenever Oda throws this in there, like, oh yeah, the Gods Knights, they bothered us all the time and we kept sending them away. It's like, I just don't think anything that Oda's doing is making them feel more threatening. Everything he's doing is making them feel less threatening. Now, are they still a threat? I would say absolutely. But it's just like the Gorosei, where it's like, I'm not shaking in my boots anymore whenever these guys pull up. Like, yes, they're the Pirate King's crew, but we have the next Pirate King's crew with us right now, with Luffy's crew. So it's like, if Roger was sending them away, no problem. And actually, Roger didn't even become the Pirate King until what, like 14 years after God Valley, right? I think it was 14 years or 13 years after God Valley. But they probably came after Shanks during that whole time. So theoretically, they weren't even the Pirate King's crew yet. But I just think the point is like I said, the Gods Knights have not felt more threatening throughout this flashback. They felt less threatening. So, I mean, it is what it is. Like, that's how Oda does things. He introduces people as like this daunting force that can't be stopped, and then they get stopped. I mean, it happens time and time again. So we'll see what he does. I mean, it's definitely not over yet for the Gods Knights. Like I said, they just haven't looked or felt more threatening, but it's not the end for him, Let's see. Michael Evans with the $5 super chat. Hope you had some amazing holidays, brother. Is Loki having a blue snake fruit, calling himself Nika, and the Skypians worshiping the blue snakes as gods, all connected? Or wait. Is Loki having a blue snake fruit, calling himself Nika, and the Skypians worshiping the blue snakes as gods are all connected? Come from the same thing? Yeah, I mean, if he has a blue snake fruit, you know what I mean? Which actually, now that I never made this mental connection, but now that you said that in that way, we know that there's like the red snake, the serpent soaked in blood that the giants want to destroy, quote unquote. They haven't actually said they want to, but they know that they're unable to, which would tell me they've tried. And so the fact there is a red snake that they kind of oppose, and we know there's a blue snake in Kaido and the Skypian snake and all that, is interesting just on its own. Because remember, Dory and Brogy are called the red ogre and the blue ogre. So we know this red and blue combo is kind of baked into Elbaf in a way, where there's like a pair. I don't know, maybe there's other examples, but the fact that like two of the most important giants in Elbaf are named that is interesting. So maybe he will just be a blue snake of some kind, which like that would be Kaido, right? Because Kaido has the blue snake fruit now, but Kaido also looks a lot like Harold, so there's still a connection there, I feel like, even if Loki doesn't have a blue snake fruit, quote unquote, I feel like there's still something brewing with this blue and red snake combo thing. But I do think all the blue snakes are connected for sure. I'm sure we've talked about it, or you've seen a video at some point that I did bringing up roughly that. But there's got to be something going on with all the blue snakes. The blue snakes, the gods. Like there's just so so much there, and also this should be like a Skypiea focused arc, you know what I'm saying, or like related arc, a arc that parallels Skypiea, especially once we get to the Heaven Realm. So that would be a time to bring it back. So I don't know, like Loki just having a blue snake fruit would be too redundant. And I say blue snake loosely, like it would probably be some mythical creature, but it would be a blue snake in practice. It would be kind of repetitive from Kaido, but like I said, with the red snake thing, that would be sort of interesting. So I don't know. I think what it might end up becoming is just that, like, the creature that ties to Uranus, like the Sea King equivalent for whatever Uranus is, that might be a blue snake, and Loki might just be able to control that, maybe, is where this is going. I don't know, but I can't believe I never made the blue and red sort of parallel till now. That we might actually be onto something there. Analytic Media, or Analyt IQ Media, with the $2 super chat. Do you think someone will get a Sea Prism sword? I that would make sense, right? Let me, because I know there's been Sea Prism weapons, right? Because like Smoker has like it's like the tip of his baton. I forget what his weapon's called. Oh, here. I just found some other items. Forgot that Wiper's skates were sea stone. Beige has a sea stone spear. The Beast Pirates had sea stone nails. Stussy has sea stone lipstick. And Modillo Man had sea stone bullets during. Is he a gifter? Yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah, Armadillo Man. Modillo Man is his actual name, though, which is kind of crazy. I gotta mention that real quick. So Modillo Man, you know, like, was he named Modillo Man before he ate the Smile Fruit? And then he just happened to get armadillo powers, or is Modillo Man like his epithet? You know what I'm saying? It says his official name is Modillo Man, but it'd be really weird for your parents to name you Modillo Man before you're an armadillo. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were like an armadillo mink, then all right. But if you're getting named that before you have any armadillo features, I don't know. Straw Hat AP Modillo Man. No, he is. Modillo Man is several magnitudes less interesting than Modillo Man, for sure, for sure. So Analytic Media, I do think someone will get a sword, because we haven't had one yet. Like, we've had, like I said, bullets, we've had nails, we've had a spear, we've had skates, we've had a jeet. Is that how you pronounce it? Like a baton thing. We haven't had a sword though. So yeah, that would make sense to see that eventually. Plumed Black Hat, what if they absolutely loved armadillos? But even then, like, you're going to be named Modillo Man like as soon as you're born. How do the parents know that he loves armadillo? Does he grab like an armadillo plushie as soon as he, you know, got out the womb or something like that? And so they named him Modillo Man? I don't know. I don't even know if I want the answer, to be honest with you. I know in RuneScape, trolls are named after the first thing they eat. So there's like a lot of really weird names there. So maybe it's based off that too. Maybe Modillo Man grew up where there's a lot of armadillos and they had to live off armadillos. I don't know. I don't even want the answer. Let's see, where are we at? Mr. Bushido. Loki Devil Fruit being silly, not cool, is an Oda thing to do. Being silly is one thing. I think this is in reference to the cockatrice thing. It's I think it's one thing to be silly, but it's another thing to be like gifter silly. You know what I'm saying? Because like being silly is cool, but when you're silly in the way that like the gifters were, they just looked like chumps, right? Like nobody was looking at them like they're actually, you know, a threat. They were just, it is like, it's an Oda thing to make them look like that, but those people weren't, you know, a threat. And so I feel like, and again, maybe he can think of a way to make it look cool, but I feel like a cockatrice, at least again, the example we have of a cockatrice in One Piece looked like a smile user. So he would really have to, because we saw one in Impel Down, so he'd have to really make it look cool. And I just feel like a rooster head on a dragon body is like, I mean, good. Like, if there's one man who can do it, it's probably Oda. But for me, that seems like a really tall challenge. For how important this fruit is supposed to be. And like, especially if he's gonna be like a crewmate and stuff, I just feel like it's like too important to be goofy at this point. You know what if that makes sense. But also if there's one person who can make it look a little goofy but still be badass because it's goofy, it's Oda. But since we had one in Impel Down that just looked, just like I said, like a smile user, I'm a little worried. Straw Hat AP with the $5 super chat. The number one Suru fan in all of One Piece. Fenrir fruit unironically could connect to the Galela company, Galera company, however that's pronounced. To the moon automata, Enies Lobby, Always Sunny equal no moon powers. Fenrir fruit. Okay, so you're saying if Galera has a connection to those automata somehow, then the Fenrir fruit. Are you saying that the Fenrir fruit would be like a werewolf type connection? Is that what you're getting at? I imagine, or like, does Fenrir have a tie to the moon? Because like, whenever I think of like wolves and moons, I think of werewolves. Does Fenrir also have? Oh, his children, Fenrir's children. One of them. His children eternally chase the sun and the moon across the sky. Okay, so there is that. That's the connection with Fenrir, and like werewolves, I feel like in general kind of build a moon connection. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Gale Ra could have a hand in like a lot of the high tech stuff from the past, right? I mean, we already know to a degree that they do, or they likely do. Now, do they have a tie to like all of it, like even the moon stuff and like all the ancient weapons and all that? Like we still have to figure that out, but they have a tie to some of it probably. So I like that. I think that makes sense. I think the Sulong, the Minks also maybe, excuse me, have a tie in there too, because obviously they look at the moon and transform. Now I don't know what that connection would necessarily be, because they're obviously playing off of like the werewolf lore, but with their own Sulong transformations. So I don't really know what that is either, but no, I can see Gale Ra being involved in that. And as far as Enies Lobby being Always Sunny, personally, I'm 100% convinced that that's just because like Pluton was used back then on Enies Lobby, and because we know that the Ancient Kingdom had a better power source than Vegapunk, one that could create their own sun, because Lilith said that if we had better resources, we would create our own sun. That's what I see the origin of Enies Lobby being. Like Pluton was using that sun energy, blasted a hole, and it stayed sunny afterward, which is why Lelucia isn't sunny, because Vegapunk did not master it. And I bring that all up because Gale Ra, at least in my opinion, seems to have a pretty likely connection to Pluton, because obviously Gali La had the Pluton blueprints. Gale Ra is like Gali La is based on Gale Ra, probably, because Gali La is a lot more recent, but that implies a connection between the two groups. Gali La had the Pluton blueprints. It would make sense that Gale Ra then made Pluton, right? So there's like that full through, like maybe Gale Ra passed down those blueprints in the first place, because they're the ones who used them to make Pluton. And so that ties in my opinion, Gale Ra to what happened at Enies Lobby as well. So that might also be another way to rope in this moon thing, because like they created a sun, quote unquote, above Enies Lobby. Did they create a moon, quote unquote, by at least altering the moon that was already up there? Could make sense. I also saw you put Jack Nicholson nodding gif. There you go. That's perfect. I do like the idea that, like, I don't know, like we haven't seen any giants go to the moon necessarily, but I think it'd be really cool if they're connected, because we also know that the sky races came down from the moon. And I think we are destined to find out that the sky people and the giants were like friends with one another, or at least like partners with one another. Because I don't know, I don't think all of the moon races were friends with the giants, but the Birkins definitely, I would say. And so it would make sense that the giants and the Birkins, because remember the Moon City was called Birka. Birka was also a trading city in the Viking Age. So if you rope that all together, maybe the Gali Ra giants did help make the Moon City, and that's what initiated the Sky People's friendship with the giants, and that might be how the Summit of High West happened, and who knows what else. Which we don't know if that's even an Elbaf, but I feel like there's so many theories that it is going to be there. So maybe that's where it all started. The Gale Ra helped create the Moon City, so then the Moon City, those people are still friends with the giants today. I like that. I like that. Hugh Mungus with a $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Hugh. Could it not be both? Loki goes to ally with Big Mom and falls in love with Lola in the process. Former sweet Commander Loki. I mean, it could be. I think this is going back to the idea that Loki tried like recreating the Rocks Pirates. Like I don't know. Just personally, I just don't. I don't think that's Loki's mindset is to go get like the same people and just recreate it. Like go get the old versions of the same people and redo it. Like I guess maybe it's just me, but I think that'd be lame for Loki to go do. And maybe that's a hot take, but if Loki really thought I'm going to go get the same people that were in Rox's crew and I'm going to remake it, I would just hope Loki has his own mindset. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's just me. So it could be could Oda change everything to be where Loki was trying to go do that? Sure, but the way I am interpreting all the situations, I don't think Loki would go to Big Mom and be like, "Hey, let's I want to recreate the Rocks Pirates." I'm like also with doing that, the idea would be that Loki would be the captain, and I don't see Big Mom agreeing to that at all. So like for me, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't like it and because I also don't see it, but I don't. It's not something that's not a DAC agenda for sure. I don't want Loki to go around trying to recreate the Rocks Pirates. Also, and like I was saying, a lot of them are already dead, right? Like or at least we know how they died. And so I just like he kind of can't also, and so I just feel like it'd be like kind of desperate to go around like, hey, I want to recreate the Rocks Pirates, and I'm gonna be the captain, and you're gonna like listen. It's just I don't know. Again, maybe it's just me. I don't want to harp on the idea like it's bad, but just for me personally, I would not want that for Loki, and I don't foresee him doing those kinds of things. That doesn't seem like his mindset. But again, I mean, it's possible, right? It could be, but maybe it's just me. I'm not big on it. Analyt IQ Media, which I love. I think that's a cool name. I think I said that before too. Why didn't Ragnir fight Shamrock? Oh, you mean like whenever like he pulled up when Loki was tied up, you mean? I was thinking like back in this flashback, I'm like, was Shamrock here and I just did not notice? Let me go back and look at those pages because he had sea stone chains on. So my first guess is that the chains were just touching Ragnir, and so Ragnir couldn't do anything. But let me go look. Let me get a better look. Guys, I gotta be honest, it is so weird looking at these older chapters because the borders are white, which means it's not a flashback because Oda makes the borders black, like the in-between space on all the pages black during a flashback. And it feels different reading the pages without that. It's like as soon as I look at the page, my brain immediately is like, wait, Dax, something's wrong. Like that's the first thing I think of. But it's just the fact that the borders aren't there. It throws me off. It's like almost kind of blinding. Like maybe I need to turn down my my brightness here. Okay, I'm trying to find some pages where he's tied up. Like, is there any? So it's not super duper clear, at least in the few scenes I'm looking at. But there does seem to be some chains that go behind him, which would mean that that's touching Ragnir. So that's my my vision for Oda's excuse, I guess we'll say. Trying to look at some other angles of it, but I don't. I'm trying to go to the one where they were actually fighting. I think down here, maybe. Yeah, like again, there's no clear sea stone chains on the hammer from what I see, but the fact they go behind him, I think that's going to be Oda's excuse. It's also like I don't know, going back to like a lot of the Loki stuff and like how he was like so friendly with animals, and then it turns out that Ragnar was an animal that he had to win over. That is just Oda just cooks sometimes, man. Sometimes he just throws in these little things like this that like I don't even know if he's gonna like bring that back up necessarily, like or like make it like a clear point, but like just for like us readers to go back and look and be like, damn, Oda foreshadowed this, like I mean he did foreshadow it, or at least foreshadowed that, I guess that Loki's friendship with animals was gonna matter, but it's like I don't know, it's just so cool to me. It's like such a deep little plot line to like quickly throw in. But all right, I think I'm caught up. Did I miss any super chats? Somebody please holler at me if I missed any, but I am caught up from what I can see here. Let me let me refresh this so I can check out the chat here for a little bit, see what you guys are cooking. I can't. All right, well, it froze, so we're gonna go ahead and use. Well, let's try this. Let's try this. There we go. Now I can see the chat. Oh yeah, see that's so crazy. So like let me get on here. So like whenever the chat freezes, sometimes it doesn't like it'll freeze on like my Chrome or my Firefox tab or whatever, but it usually doesn't free on Streamlabs. But sometimes I'll refresh and I'll go back and I'll see that not all the chats from YouTube even make it to Streamlabs. So there's a lot of stuff you guys were saying that I wish I would have seen earlier and replied to, but let's see. What are you guys cooking? Vex earlier, someone on the Beast Pirates was a notary and oversaw several legal name changes. Look, that if that is true, that guy I don't even know what to say. If I imagine being that notary and your job is to change their names, and you see maybe it's Medillo Man come in, or you see Four Tricks come in. Four Tricks is the one who his head is like in a chicken's ass, right? Something like that. Let me look. Yeah, yeah. So like, if I'm that notary and I see Four Tricks roll in, I don't know, man. I'm gonna need some psychological help after just a couple people. You know what I mean? I see the first guy come in whose face is in a chicken's butthole, and I'm gonna be like, man, all right, I need a new job. I need a new job right now. I'm going on Indeed right now. Michael Evans, member for 9 months. Appreciate you, brother. Long Ring Redland, the only theory that will never die, bro. I would love for that to come true. It has been years since we've talked about that. I would love for that to come true. I mean, we'll see. It might not be too long till we find out now. It's like that came out like 3 years ago, which is so crazy, but we'll see. I wonder how long it is till we learn about the red line at this point. Like now that we're in Elbaf, which like I was talking about earlier, you have all the serpent soaked in blood stuff. It feels like this would be the place to learn about the red line or the origins of it. We already got the dang mural, which we heard about this hellfire serpent. So it's like, is he part of the red line? We're getting some lore there. So hopefully we'll find out soon, man. Hopefully we'll find out soon. But I appreciate your support. It says member for 9 months, but you've been around since literally day one. So seriously appreciate you. Bonk 1534. I'm really glad you brought this up. Would it work if Harold just cut off his arm like Shanks did because of the tattoo? So, because during the chapter here, if I can pull it up, there we go. During the chapter, like right when part of Harold's arm was missing that contains the mark, he had like a second where he was able to talk to Loki normal again. But then right after the mark healed back up, he's like, "Hurry, it's taking me over again." And so what that's telling me is that if you destroy the mark or cut off the arm, then there probably is a little bit of weakness until it regenerates. But that's also important because we're now learning that even if you do destroy the mark, he can just regenerate the arm and the mark, so you can't just cut it off. So as for Shanks, the reason that he lost that was because he didn't have the second mark, so he couldn't regenerate. And that's just really important because, like, while Shanks gave up his mark, these other guys can't do the same thing. If you have the second layer of the mark, you won't lose it just for losing the arm, because the arm will come back. So that's a really important extra layer to add to this for sure. Because now, like, because earlier in the arc, we saw Scopper cut off Summer's arm, but he grew it all back, and he was able to regenerate after a while. So that's important, because if they didn't regenerate, then that would have just been that would have been the end of it. Summers wouldn't be able to regenerate. So we already kind of knew that. So yeah, it's really important, I feel like, now, because so now we're gonna have to get rid of the marks like another way. Like there has to be another. And I made jokes about this, but at this point, maybe it's a real thing. Earlier in Egghead, we saw Luffy lose his scar because for some Gear Fifth antics. Oda just made it like a joke, right? But if that's real, if his scar really did pop off of his body for a little bit, can they go and take off these scars or these tattoos, these brandings, whatever the method really is for making these? Maybe Luffy will literally have to like Toon Force it off of his body, and that might be one of the reasons why Emu is like so afraid of Nika. Is it's like, and maybe even why Gunko said her greatest fear was Nika, because it's like, yeah, that's the one guy who can actually remove those, and that's terrifying, Tiny Angry Gnome, you said, made a theory kitchen post in Discord of all the times it snowed when Loki is sad. If anyone's interested, I'm glad you did, because that is like it's so obvious now. Like that is 100%. Like, does it mean that Loki is Uranus? Is he impacting Uranus that's up in the heaven realm? What is the methodology? Who knows? But I think Oda has made it more than clear now that like Loki makes it snow. One way or another, Loki makes it snow. Plantalicious 1481. I just finished the chapter. What the hell was that killing blow from Loki? Do you think it is related to his devil fruit? It's really interesting that Oda gave Loki Ragnir and the devil fruit in one fell swoop, because now us readers, we can't really tell the difference. You know what I'm saying? Like because we just talked about how Loki always makes it snow, and he was doing that before he had Ragnir. And then as soon as he gets Ragnir, he hits Harold and brings down this lightning strike. So now the question's like, okay, is Ragnir like the squirrel causing this lightning to happen? Is Ragnir like the hammer itself, like aside from the squirrel component? Is that somehow bringing lightning down? Is it like a special hammer with some special technology? Is this Loki because he can affect the weather because he's already made it snow? Is he the one bringing the lightning down? Or like I was saying, if Loki is controlling the weather because there's like another entity up there that he's like impacting, kind of like how Shirahoshi can command the Sea Kings, is Loki unconsciously making some other creature change the weather? And if so, is that creature what's bringing the lightning down? Like the fact that he got the hammer and the fruit at the same time makes it almost impossible to tell. So if you want my guess, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what my guess is. My gut feeling is that the lightning is uh like a Ragnar thing. Like I don't know if that's the squirrel or if it's the hammer itself, or maybe there's something up in the sky that the hammer is tied to and it brings the lightning down. I don't know, but I feel like it's Ragnar just because that ties into like some more Norse mythology with like Thor's hammer and stuff, kind of. Because like, but unless Loki's fruit really does just give him like lightning powers, and we're then he is almost more of a Thor parallel. Because like since his name is Loki, I mean he's kind of paralleling Thor because he has the hammer, but is he going to parallel them that much to where like he's the one actually controlling the weather and like he's just using the hammer as a conduit? Like I don't really know, but I feel like it's going to be the hammer because this is supposed to be like a Thor's hammer thing, and not that Loki is Thor necessarily because he's Loki, but maybe who knows what Oda's doing. There's obviously a huge Enel connection to all of this, right? Like Enel had the lightning fruit, so if Loki does have a Thor fruit, or even if he's just meant to emulate Thor by controlling the weather, there's like a cool tie there too. Um, so I don't know. I feel like it's the hammer, but I think it's pretty hard to say, to be honest. I don't know. I could go either way. Because like if it is Loki's fruit, also this is another really good point. If it is because of Loki's fruit, not because of Ragnir's fruit or Ragnar the hammer or whatever, then that kind of means that he should be able to bring down lightning without the hammer. And I think it'd be a lot cooler if he can only do this with the hammer, if that makes sense. Because like if he has like I said, like a Thor fruit, then he should theoretically, I don't know why he would necessarily need a separate hammer to use some of the powers. So I think it's all based on the hammer personally. But again, I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know. Plume Black Hat, you said you could be right, Dax. Loki's eyes affect Elbath weather. I think definitely. And it's also like I brought this up in my Loki video, which actually the thumbnail for this video, I stole the Loki from that thumbnail for this because I was wondering if we might get some weather talk in this chapter. I was hoping, or we did get a little bit because it started snowing again. That's why I used it. But in that video, I also brought up like he has like snake eyes, and going back to the Skypiea stuff, the god, the sun god that they worshipped was also a snake. Then you look at Kaido, who you were talking about blue snake, red snake stuff earlier. He also has snake eyes like that. So I don't know. It makes me think there could be some weather tie in there. You got the snake from Skypiea, which also, you know, Haradas is a Birkin, and he's all about the weather, right? He's the one who helped Nami, and since he's from Burka, one of the races that came down from the moon, it seems to me to be pretty important that another one of those races was worshiping a snake like that. So I don't know, something's going on. Plantalicious, you said in Nordic mythology, the squirrel's the guardian of the tree. It feels odd to mix Thor's hammer by making it into a squirrel guardian of Yggdrasil. Yeah, well, that's why I think it'd be cool if the hammer itself is doing the lightning stuff and then the squirrel is a separate thing. Because then you're merging them, but they still have like their own kind of lanes, right? Where it's like it's just Thor's hammer merged with that squirrel into one being, and I think that is cool. But it would be weird if the squirrel had lightning powers, because then it's like the squirrel, is dipping into some of what Thor's hammer was supposed to do. So that's why I like the idea the hammer itself is doing it, but not the animal, Because I do agree, it'd be a little weird for maybe that squirrel is a crazy mythical squirrel. I don't know. He probably is a mythical, to be honest, but since he is a squirrel and his mythos is like tied to something else, it would be weird if he had lightning powers. So, um, could be a Sulong fruit uses the power of the sun. The squirrel would be like seeing that, which is why he's happy. Also, minks can use electro. Yeah, minks using electro is an interesting tie in here too. As far as like seeing or like using the power of the sun, that's what I was hoping, and technically it's still possible, but that's what I was hoping Loki's eyes would do. like if he sees the sun, he transforms and becomes all crazy, and then that's why like Shanks had to come tie him up, and why he still like covers his eyes. It's not just because he's like embarrassed. It's because if he sees the sun, he's gonna start cooking people. At this point, I don't know if that's gonna happen because Loki. I mean, he already. He had this mythical fruit and has this crazy transformation. Does he really need like a second transformation? Like, probably not. But Eli D. Kangan, if I'm saying your name right, did you see the pattern on the squirrel's tail? I did notice that it had a cool pattern. I didn't really like clock anything about it. Do you have any like thoughts on what that pattern is? Because like I feel like that's just Oda making like a like kind of a roughly normal pattern for like a chipmunk sort of thing. Like, I don't know if chipmunks have like little triangles like that, but they do have striped tails with some like cool looking designs sometimes. Like I said, whenever I was growing up, bro, we had chipmunks all over the place. When I like anytime I'd go play outside, I would find chipmunks no problem. So I got these like baked into my head. Although he's also like a squirrel because the tail like really curls and is bushy. But either way, it is reminiscent of like a typical chipmunk's tail to a degree. So I think that's what he's going for. But does it look like anything else? Like have we seen that design in other parts of like a building or something? The pattern reminded me of the mural pattern. All right, I think I know what you're talking about. Let me go look. Let me go pull this up. It's really hard to believe that the mural happened in 2025. Because doesn't it feel like the mural was, I don't know, 10 years ago? At least that's how it feels to me. Let's see. Going down to the mural. A little bit. I see what you're saying. A little bit. Like, it's kind of like, I guess it's a little bit different. The more I keep looking at them. Because like the squirrel has like triangles pointing out, and this has like parallelograms, but even then, even if the symbols aren't the same, the fact that you have like these weird like long striped things on these important creatures, I think is interesting in and of itself, right? Like if the designs mean anything, because I have always thought that like again they're like parallelograms. It kind of reminds me of like a zipper almost on the on the snake on the right, on the serpent. And it is just weird that like we see these long striped symbols on all these different animals, but they are different, so I'm not sure if there's much of a connection. But it is worth pointing out. I feel like one thing that we should maybe look at, and I don't see any off the top of my head, or I can't think of any off the top of my head, and I don't see any here, but we should also look like, are there any markings like in Elbaf or on Elbaf Castle or in Elbaf Castle that like shows markings like that, because that might tell us a thing or two. Or even going back to the serpent, like have we seen those marks in any other castles or important places? That's kind of what I always think of, is like, because then that implies like a long historic connection, right? Like if that pattern on the squirrel's tail was inside of Elbaf's castle, then it's kind of cool because it's like it just shows how long that connection's been around, right? But yeah, I don't think there's necessarily anything, but I do think like the markings are still worth keeping tabs on for sure. Yeah, Eli, you said these kind of patterns like dragons and wipers and arbors. Exactly. Yes. Uh, like that's what I was saying. Like we keep seeing these like I don't know if striped pattern's the right way to put it, but like continuous repeating pattern maybe. Like Dragon's face, it's like the same pattern over and over and over down his face, right? Like the triangles and like the whatever. And even on the serpent, it's the same thing. Like it's not the same design, but he has a long striped marking down his body. Same thing with the squirrel. So a lot of people do that. So I think it's really good to keep tabs on it. Another thing that's worth keeping tabs on are people's tattoos. Like a year ago now, I saw a Reddit post where somebody, I'm sorry I don't remember your name, but somebody just basically put a bunch of tattoos where like these random characters that I was completely unaware of have the same tattoos, like people from completely separate arcs that are not connected, but they have the same tattoos. And somebody did a full compilation like, does anybody know what these tattoos are about? And I remember reading it and I was like mind blown. I'm like, okay, I had no idea that random person A and random person B had the same mark on their shoulder. I had no idea that random person C and random person D had the same mark on their clothes. Like what, I think it's, who was it? Was it, I think, I know Shiryu and King maybe had the same symbol on their clothes, right? I think that was one of them. I think that one I had heard about because people were thinking there might be a connection via Impel Down. I believe that was it. Was it King? I can't remember. I know there's multiple people who have like the skull mark. Yeah, yeah. Because King had it like had the skull in the square on his collar, and then Shiryu has it like on his like armbands, kind of. And so it's like, what's that connection about? But that same kind of thing. There was a Reddit post where somebody put like 10 to 15 tattoos slash marking connections where I was like, bro, I I had no idea. And then I looked, I wanted to do a video roughly on that. I don't know what I would have said, but I wanted to like dive into it and see what theories I could come up with. And I couldn't find the post. So I got to go back and try to find it again, and then I can share it with you guys and let you know. But I remember just looking at that and I was like, bro, I've been covering One Piece for a job for years and I did not know half this. That's insane. Facebook and Impel Down have the same symbol. Wait, was that a typo, or is that a joke that, hold on. Like it sounds funny. Oh my god, I see what you're talking about. Oh my god, that's so funny. They do. Man, there's a lot of like deep parallels you could make there. Facebook's done some shady business before. That might be deeper than we think. That's crazy, bro. That's so funny. The the Impel Down logo is a turned over Facebook logo, bro. That's crazy. Yes, both are prisons. Both are hell, but in much different ways. Yep, Will. Yep, levels of hell, exactly. We were on the same page. Oh, dude, that's hilarious, bro. That is genuinely so funny. I never made that connection. Like I read what you said, and at first I was like, well, that's just a funny statement to read. And then I thought, well, maybe he typoed, which is still funny. Then I was like, well, maybe he's serious. Let me go look. No, you were dead serious, man. You were dead serious. That's so funny. I like seriously. I can't believe I never noticed that. Or maybe I can, honestly. I don't use Facebook. I got rid of Facebook a while ago. Like 2017, 2018, I got rid of Facebook. I was a little bit ahead of the curve there. I got rid of my Facebook, I got rid of my Twitter, I got rid of my Instagram. I was just like, you know what, this social media stuff ain't for me. And then you know what I did after that? I went and started a YouTube channel, and then doing social media stuff became my job. So that's how it happens sometimes. But also YouTube is a little bit of a different type of social media, right? I mean, there's definitely a lot of parallels too, um, but it is a little bit different than especially Twitter and Facebook, I would say, and Instagram. Plumed Black Hat. Oh yeah, Dax, have you watched Solo Leveling at all? I have not. I have not. Now my cousin, Steve Irwin, not the real Steve Irwin, but I don't know if you're still in the chat or not. I saw you type something about pentagrams a little bit ago, but my boy Steve there was telling me that if I get into Solo Leveling, then he'll get into One Piece, which like he knows a little bit about One Piece already because he comes here and visits the streams and knows about it, but he hasn't watched it all, and so we were making a deal. So I might need to get into Solo Leveling just for that reason, to get another person on board the Straw Hat ship here, to watch One Piece. But I have not watched it at all yet, so I am completely in the dark. I know nothing about it. Um, and actually, it's actually a good time to mention a couple things that I forgot that I wanted to mention earlier, and I completely forgot. And I'm like, I'm kind of embarrassed now because whenever I was setting up for the stream, I was like, make sure you mention these couple things at the start because like that's when most people are watching the VOD. But whatever, now we got the crew still here. So, um, the one thing I'll mention first before I get into the other thing is if you guys didn't hear, I am doing a giveaway because we had 100K subscribers last month, still last month. Yeah, it happened in November. So I'm doing a giveaway for hitting 100K and because it's Christmas, right? If you want to know how to enter the giveaway, I put a link in the description. It's pretty near the top. You just got to click that. And the video is like 3 minutes and I explain what the giveaway is and all that, but you got to comment on that video. The giveaway is for a bunch of One Piece TCG cards and also a Laboon plush and a One Piece Globe plush. There's going to be 10 winners. If you guys want any more details, just go check out the description. Like I said, it's at the top. You just got to click that video. It's just a few minutes. You just got to comment on that video. That's it. Sorry to make you guys do the extra legwork of checking out a separate video, but I got it. It's easiest to have one link to share to everybody, obviously. And because of the way that YouTube does these things, it's just a lot easier to do on a video. So if you want to join the giveaway, go check that out. I believe in total, there's the value of all the stuff I'm giving away is over $1,000, but I'm splitting it across 10 people. So there's a lot of decent stuff to win, all One Piece related. So go check that out. Wanted to mention that. And then also another thing, and I don't have like surefire plans on when this is happening yet, but I know sometime in the next few weeks, I'm going to be setting up a Patreon that will be primarily for anime reactions, and maybe I'll do some other manga read-throughs if people want that. But I'm going to start with anime reactions, and I'm going to start by getting caught up on Egghead for one thing because I'm still back in the Kuma flashback. So I'm going to binge watch the anime and do my reactions for all that, and I'm going to put it on Patreon because on Patreon they let you on YouTube I will get demonetized and in trouble and all that if I include the audio or even like a little bit of the anime thing while it's showing. Patreon's a little more lenient with that, so I'm going to be putting my anime reactions on Patreon if you're interested in that. I think I still might put them on YouTube, but just without the actual sound and the visuals, because I one time I tried to do this, I got in trouble. I don't know how everyone else gets away with it on YouTube. I did it one time. It's the only time I got a takedown request from Toei out of all the videos I've ever done was when I tried doing an anime reaction and I had like a very light, transparent version of the anime showing. So I don't know what that's about, but I'm going to put those on Patreon if you're interested. And then also I will most likely be reacting to other anime. Because there is some manga I want to read, but I definitely prefer watching the anime. So I think a lot of the popular shows, like I'll probably do polls for Patreon people to vote, but that'll all go on Patreon whenever that's set up, which like I said, will be in the next few weeks. I'm not going to make it live until I've done my binge watch of the One Piece anime, like the stuff I've missed. So that way, like the people who are signing up have something to watch right away. You know what I mean? I do have it set up, but I haven't like made it public or shared the link because I was like, I feel really weird posting about this without some content on there already. You know what I mean? So there will be a Patreon soon for all anime reactions and likely other manga reactions. Now that I also do want to put on YouTube because that's a little bit easier to get away with. So that'll all be on Patreon for who's ever interested. I know I've gotten a lot of questions about anime stuff before, and I like doing it. I just know that it's not as appealing without the sound and the visuals. Like, it's kind of annoying to open up a separate tab with the anime so you know what I'm looking at, right? And I totally understand it. I wish I could put it, but like I said, I got in trouble the one time I tried, and I'm not willing to risk it anymore. So it'll all be on Patreon for sure. Steve Irwin, I will help you with your anime suggestions. Can I have your Patreon? Well, Steve, maybe you weren't here whenever I brought it up, but you were actually how we got to this point because Plumed Black Hat, I think it was you, right? Yeah. Plumed Black Hat was asking if I had ever watched Solo Leveling. And I was saying that, we might have a deal in the works here where I watch Solo Leveling and then I can finally get you into One Piece. So that might be it. So yeah, well, I mean, Solo Leveling is one I actually do want to watch. I've heard nothing but good things about it, so I do want to watch that. I promised one of my best friends that I would watch slash read Berserk, which I need to read, and I know that one's a heavy series to watch or to read. I know the anime is kind of funky in how it's like split up and stuff, the but maybe I'll just read the manga. But I know that one's kind of heavy, but I gotta get through that one too. But yeah, I've heard good things about Solo Leveling. I've heard good things about Dandadan. I want to get into and I know people were memeing it at first, but Kagurabachi I'll check out. Do you have some Solo Leveling manga? No, but I can find it easily online. Excuse me. I can find it easily online. If you ever want some help with that, I'll let you borrow my manga. I mean, is it? Well, it's not like done, right? Because if like you had the entire series, like a finished series, then I would definitely be open to that because I do like reading on paper more. But if you don't have, but if the entire series isn't done, then I don't want to read. You know, what I'm like I don't want to spend time buying it all because then like I'll still have to go online to read the rest of it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like with One Piece. Like that's why I haven't really bought much manga. I bought a few of them, but I haven't bought it because like I have to keep going online for the new stuff anyway, right? Like it doesn't get printed in the volume version for like months and months till after it's released. So it's kind of like, well, if I have to get back on the internet to go read the next one anyway, I might as well not buy it until it is done. Then I have it all, I guess. And that's also why I don't know if you guys have ever followed this phenomenon, but whenever a manga series ends, their sales absolutely skyrocket. And it's because people, once it's done, they're like, well, let me go buy the whole thing and just binge the whole thing, right? Because while it's ongoing, I can't like see the end. And that's why like every year, One Piece, it's not the only reason, but one of the big reasons why every year One Piece is like between like second or fifth or so in the manga sales rankings. And it's because usually there's a story that ends during the year or story or two, and then they sell out the wazoo because people are buying all of the copies, where One Piece is like people are just buying the random volumes, and you know, it's like not over, like nobody's making massive orders, you know, to put a display up because like why make a display now for One Piece manga when you might have to tear it all down in a couple years because it's longer than you thought. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, Vagabond. Who said that? Straw Hat AP. That might be in the works. I know nothing about that, to be honest with you. I know absolutely nothing. Um, Tiny Angry Gnome, you said, why was Shanks saying Loki could save Harold? How does Shanks know about Loki's fruit or powers? Do you think the Roger pirates told him something about it? Yeah, that's a really good question too. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So, hmm. So the thing is, does hold on. Let me reread this real quick. So do I guess what I'm confused on is here whenever we see Shanks saying, I'm afraid Loki's or no, it's yeah, Gabon. Gabon is saying, I'm afraid Loki's our best bet. I was trying to figure out what like did they know like is he saying that thinking that Loki's gonna get the fruit, or is he saying that without knowing about the fruit? And that's why and the reason that's important is because if Scopper is saying that knowing that Loki is going for the fruit, then the idea is that the fruit is the key. But if he's saying that not aware that Loki's going for the fruit, then then the reason why Loki would be the best bet is something agnostic of the fruit, right? That's what I was trying to figure out, because I don't think it's that clear, to be honest with you. Because I'm looking at this like, so Scopper, so they were already here, right? Let me go back and look. Where do they bust in here? Okay, so Harold last chapter says, I need to eat the fruit and take up Ragnir. Loki says, I won't let you. That's when Scopper and Shanks come in. So they probably heard that. Because they were like separate from, Loki doing the hammer stuff. Like they came in right at like, they were fighting Harold and stuff. So they likely did know that Loki was trying to go grab the fruit / may have already eaten it by the point that they're talking, and was going for Ragnir. So I think they're saying that the fruit is probably the fruit is the key. Now what's the importance there? Like, what could the fruit do that would impact that? I mean, one thing that's like, it popped off the top of my head here is going back to the idea about the forest god and how we heard that the forest god tamed devils, right? Well, if Loki really does have a forest god fruit, if we just presume that that's accurate for just a second, then this taming devils thing might be the answer. So maybe there's a way for whoever has the forest god power to like mess with these abyss powers in some way. Like, I don't know what that answer is, but that's just the first thing my mind went to, is like, maybe because if Loki's going to eat the forest god fruit, he has to come in and tame this devil, so to speak, right? But again, I mean, I feel like we're kind of speculating there, but I don't know. And honestly, like I was saying, I'm not even 100% sure that Loki or that Scopper is saying that, being like, while he's aware that Loki's going for the fruit. It feels like they probably overheard it. So it feels like they know about like him going for the fruit. So he is saying that because Loki's about to eat it. But honestly, I don't even know if that's for sure. He might not even be aware of the fruit, and he might be saying that Loki's our best bet just because of himself. So I'm not even 100% sure that we should be looking at the fruit, but you would think that's the answer with how important it's been built up to be. So Michael Evans, what gets me is Shanks can't beat Harold with Gabon. Loki gets a fruit in Ragnar to beat Harold, but Shanks was the only one who could stop Loki solo. I believe, if I remember correctly, it wasn't just Shanks solo. I think the way they said it was like all the warriors of Elbaf had to work together, I believe is the way they said it, which, like, the way I'm envisioning it is like they sent all the giants at him first, and then Shanks came in at the very end and finished the job, is the way I interpret it. I don't know if we know enough for that to be like concrete or anything, but I know in chapter 1131, whenever they first talked about like how Loki killed Harold and ate the fruit, like the first time we heard that story, they said that all the warriors of Elbaf had to team up to tie him up or something like that. So I don't think it was just Shanks solo. Um, Now, again, but I do think it's probably going to be that all the giants tried, and then Shanks comes in at the end, so it will be Shanks 1v1, but it'll be like a tired Loki. At least that's my guess. But also, that would be like 8 years later, right? Like, Shanks had just left the Holy Land at this point, which I'm sure he's like still really strong now, but he would definitely be a lot stronger like 8 years later, because didn't he capture Loki 6 years ago? And this was all 14 years ago that we're seeing, so like he wouldn't be as strong, I would say. And I guess also, do we really know if Shanks like couldn't stop Harold? Let me go look. Yeah, I mean they were doing all right. Like I'm not sure if like it's not like Shanks lost, right? Like yeah, Shanks never got knocked out from what we see. It seems like they were just kind of boxing him the whole way to like slow him down, and then Loki just did the finishing blow, I think. Yeah, I think so. I think so. I know in chapter 1131 they said all the warriors of Elbaf had to team up. I know that for sure. I know that for sure. Now, if that story ends up just being a lie, I mean that's possible, but I tend to, it wasn't 1131, maybe it was 1130. Trying to find it real quick. Yeah, so they said he's devoted himself to darkness, and a few years ago he was sentenced to crucifixion. He tried to flee, but we warriors all came together to catch him. What? All the warriors of Elbaf? That's how that conversation went. It was Frankie who was like, "What? All the warriors?" So like the fact he even like added on to it, I think is telling us that they all worked together. It was a team effort, I think. Nick Ilvento, you said, "Wow, Dak is still streaming. What a go!" It won't be for long. I'll be honest with you. This was a really good chapter, dude. I love this chapter. We had a lot to talk about. I honestly did not recognize that it's been 3 hours. That's kind of crazy, but yeah, like I said, it was a phenomenal chapter. So I am going to get going here soon, but we've had a lot of good discussions. So it's been hard to peel myself away from the computer. Although I definitely need to. I got some food to eat, some videos to make, and also some games to play. I've been playing RuneScape because of course, but I've also been addicted to Alchemy Factory lately. I don't know if you guys are into like simulation production games or whatever. Sometimes they're hit or miss, but Alchemy Factory is just like I don't know. It's really been hitting for me lately. I don't know if anybody is into it. They actually got taken off Steam temporarily because they were used. Well, I don't know what the full story is, but their music, I don't know if they actually took the music or it was just too similar or whatever, but they got DMCA'd by Jagex, by RuneScape, because their music was too similar to RuneScape's. Again, I don't know if they just straight up ripped the songs. I started playing after that happened, so I don't really know. But they got in trouble, which I think is funny. But yeah, I've been playing that game so much lately. Been very, very addicted. Um, almost done with the build though. Like the thing with simulation games, I love them, but once you get towards the end, it's like the game's just over. You know what I'm like that because like Call of Duty or Halo or Marvel Rivals, whatever, you can kind of play it in perpetuity because you just keep playing multiplayer with your friends. But these simulation games, it's kind of like a one and done sort of thing. Um, but yeah, all right. You know what, guys? Well, since we are at 3 hours, I think I will wrap it up. So thank you guys for being here again. I know, with it being the holiday season, I know you guys have a lot to do, hopefully a lot of chilling and relaxing to do, I hope. So I'm glad you guys could take some time to be here. Phenomenal chapter. If you guys couldn't tell from like the first 100 times I said it, I love this chapter so much. A big, big fan. And we got a lot to look forward to here in 2026. This was a great way to end the year. Technically speaking, I said this at the beginning of the stream, but this chapter will officially drop in 2026. So theoretically, this was the first chapter of 2026. So we're starting off on a good note here. So yeah, thank you guys all for watching. I appreciate you. We will be back in 2 weeks. So it did not say a break at the end of this chapter, but again, because this one leaked early and the official version drops next week, we will not have a TCB version next week. So 2 weeks from now, or technically like 13 days from now, I'll be back for the next reaction. So thank you guys. I will have a video or two out between now and then for sure. I don't know exactly what they'll be, but there will be something. And there will be a redacted video as well about this chapter / the flashback. So we got a lot to look forward to. Hope you all have a great weekend. Hope you all stay safe. Don't get sick. I know there's a lot of people getting sick right now, so be careful. But yeah, thank you guys again. And last thing, if you did not sign up for the giveaway yet, go to the link in the description. It's near the top. All you got to do is comment on that video and you'll be entered. So make sure you do that. But all right, guys, thank you very, very much. And